15th, 2025, 6:34 p.m. This is the zoning bylaw review steering committee. So last meeting before the end of the year, I sent out initial drafts of both the table of use with kind of incidental amendments, and then the other sections of section 5. So trying to find a way to consolidate between two articles if possible. I think really I guess to summarize it, the use table really tried to look at not diving too much. I mean, we had some comments from our previous meetings, obviously, that incorporated those in terms of where to relocate some things and some substantive changes, but mostly try to find a way to summarize language as well as organize in a way that incorporated an accessory use table. I incorporated it as just another section of the use table rather than its own separate table, just as a way to really just a formatting process. Didn't want to try to create too many new sections, so I just had it be another 5B, 1, 6, 7, and 8. And broke those down to basically what's allowed in all districts, what's only allowed in residential, and what's allowed in commercial and industrial. So I have my color coordination. I thought I'd try to explain it. What would be general edits are in yellow. New language entirely is, or at least new additions are in green. New location formatting. A lot is reformatted, so that's almost kind of, it's in blue, but I might have missed some things, honestly, because I think at the end of it I just sent it. In pink, the changes of use based on comments from committee discussions, and then in red, something that we need to review, revisit, and have a discussion on. Within the first section, so the change to 5A and then the 5B schedule of use regulations, this is all recommended changes that came from town council. And I didn't really make any changes there, just to incorporate that as part of this article. And I don't know if it makes sense to just go through page by page and just kind of go where there's the highlighted item and ask any questions. I did try to make changes to the footnotes to try to find a way to, there was a few different sections where it just, language continued on and on. And so trying to find a way to, I guess. That's okay. Basically, the point of trying to make the footnotes, at least the thought behind it, was trying to find a way to obviously say things that weren't properly said. And then there's some situations where we have this scenarios where it's, here's the use, and then you need this, and then you need that, and then you need that. I try to really limit, try to find a way to limit that, remove that, especially if it was some scenarios are kind of like repetitive. In some other scenarios, we just move that to its own, I guess you call it, its own essential use-specific requirements. It's a working title, where those are those kind of, like home occupations is one. We list home occupations of where it's allowed by a special permit, and then it's allowed pursuant to section, I think I have it as 5B2A, and so, or 5B2C. So we deferred somebody to go review that section rather than to jumble it all within the use table. It's just a way that I think we noticed that came from council, really, just trying to find a way to have the use table be as concise as possible. Obviously, you don't want to just send somebody from another section just for the sake of doing it, which is like 2-family and 3-family, and just left that language as is. I didn't do a footnote because, take it or leave it. I think it was fine the way it was written. I didn't overthink it, but a few other sections, I think one from accessory use to a primary use within industrial. That was one where I just basically put a footnote and then sent it to the footnotes. But if we want to maybe just kind of go through it's the second page or third page, public, semi-public, institutional. So there's some general changes here. There was a few of those, a few of the uses such as heliport and And I believe it was the option of having a public restroom or a storage shed or concessions within a public park. Those are moved to accessory uses. For the nursery school and other agency for the day care of children, what I did here is the language is specific to, I guess, a general facility, kind of similar that you would see like a kinder care or whatever it is off of a Route 1. Whereas the at-home small family and large family, not to flip around, is moved to an accessory use, because it's essentially an accessory use where the primary use is a residential home. So that's just trying to kind of like tie this together.
What again was the difference between a large family and small family? I didn't know.
So the definition, I think we have it defined.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's not part of this change, but it's within the definition section. I can go over that. I don't know if Jim, you want to just, what is small family, large family off the top of your head? Or
So I believe anything under 5 is a small, and anything over that goes, then there's more criteria from the state on it.
It's a number.
So you can do up to 5 kids in your home as of right,
Right.
and then get larger, there's some more criteria for
So
it.
you have to meet state regulation,
Yeah.
probably.
So-
But it seems like when you first read it, it says, well, a large family, it's how many kids you have, it's your family itself. It's not like, family is considered what they're taking care of.
Yeah.
They take care of. So, does it seem right? Is that what they usually do?
I think that's really,
Mhm.
the language
That's
comes
not-
from, that's a state
Yeah.
kind of requirement. So the language we have in our definition section, that was almost like, it's the same thing with like having medical marijuana located in a certain location. We have to have that language defined.
Okay.
So I don't think that's anything we created really. But just try to summarize it and move it. Top of my head, I don't believe I have any other major changes within there, other than relocating a few things. And we can go
This is
through.
only for the publics.
Yeah, yeah, we can go through the accessory uses later, not to have you bounce back and forth between pages. So if there's none to that, or you want to kind of think about that, we can just, agricultural, I still am waiting on comments from council, so we did meet with council last week. Not to kind of segue from our discussion, but basically Jim and I met with council to kind of go over the changes to renewable energy facilities, primarily solar voltaic. And the long story short is I had town council looking into this to see if the change was necessary to make this upcoming town meeting. Basically, what I got out of it was some kind of frustration with the state is the best way of describing it, where it's not really very clear if this is a change that we need to make or if it's a change that we need to opt into. Town council did produce a draft bylaw. Basically, I came out of it.
Of what?
Of what they're trying to incorporate from the state's language. So let me just bring it up to.
For the agricultural?
Yeah.
business? Okay, I see.
I
So-
asked ChatGPT to summarize the state's code on this.
It's the way to do it. So this was draft 1, which I did not like, neither did council. This is like a 23-page document that they're trying to incorporate. This is like, usually when state comes out with new language, it's, they have kind of like a boilerplate or kind of like a draft bylaw, and usually they're not great. They're kind of like everything at once, so for the sake of going through it, I'm not gonna go through it with you. But we did have another version that we did talk about a consolidated local permitting. to explain from a high level is basically, there's some language that the city incorporated where projects that are under 25 megawatt facilities could have the option of going through a consolidated permitting process within municipality. Anything over 25 megawatts would go straight to the state. The 25 megawatt consolidated permitting language has a lot of kind of a lot of question marks, really. So like when you go through, it's not like a new permit, really. It's just trying to consolidate the process through, say, it runs through my office or Jim's office, but it still would go to planning, and still would go to conservation, and now you need to find a way to issue a permit within a year of what one of those facilities would need. And whether or not that bypasses our local zoning, I think was, I kind of got the impression that it would bypass our local zoning. In terms of the solar photovoltaic overlay district, but it was also very unclear from the council standpoint. It sounded like it was a matter of an entity could opt into it. It wasn't, required that they followed it, which is very weird. And so long story short is with everything going on, I need to just focus on one thing if possible, and this is something that the state isn't fully, hasn't fully figured out yet, so there's no point in pushing something like this forward right now. But to that end, the Sound Council is also still reviewing the documentation that I sent to all of you end of the year, so she's trying to work through a bunch of different towns and stuff they have, but hopefully I'll have that information prior to the end of the year.
Excuse me, I have to run out to my car to
Yeah.
get something.
No worries. So I bring that up because agricultural, I didn't make any changes here. I wasn't sure. I basically added the agricultural uses that are protected under section 3.
Mhm.
That other language about the 2 and 5 acre, I'm a little confused whether or not, I don't think we need to make changes to those exactly, because we're covering facilities that are not protected under Mass General Law. So I like that.
Taking out the 2 and 5 acre, or?
No, I'm
Not
leaving
changing
that
it.
as is. So the
Yeah.
only thing that would be adding to this subsection is D, which is agricultural uses which are protected under section 3.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, because the 2 and 5 are under 2 and 4, over 2 and under 2 are specific.
yep.
It's kind of like, we're not a right to farm town, we're not on the list with the state to right to farm, but
Yeah.
it protects us that way.
Yeah. So, let's comments on that. I'm gonna set out, if there's any additional changes we need to make to that, try to clear that over.
Can we just back up a second
Yep.
to section 1 and then the L,
Yep.
the commercial recreational, after dusk,
Mhm.
before dawn.
Yep.
Do you think it should be special permit even with the highway business district and LM? Just to maybe have a little control on what goes on there?
This is a kind of a confusing section for me, honestly. I mostly because commercial recreational is like 2 things, right? It can be, I believe this is referring to a public facility, whereas a commercial recreational facility could also be something like, I don't know, bumper cars, right?
Mhm.
So that's defined elsewhere. But yeah, to your point, should it be special permit? I'm not sure why they decided to make it by right there, other than.
Especially the hours where it's, after hours,
Mm.
what's it restricted to,
I mean, that doesn't fall under zoning, that would be general and,
Whatever the dusk is for that's where it gets funky.
yeah.
No, you're thinking about like protecting nearby residents and
Right,
things like
and
that?
other businesses, you
Yeah,
know?
and other businesses, yeah.
I mean, if it's in a business area and they're kind of loud or whatever and disruptive, but who's gonna be working after dusk, so, but at the same time, I think we would want a little more control on that, right? I don't know what goes on.
Well, they still have to go through, some kind of permitting, right, with the town? Let's say somebody wanted to do bumper cars.
But that's different use, and that's I'm understanding that differently, Jim, which is the confusion with this section where it's public, semi-public, institutional. Are these referring to basically town facilities?
Yeah, so usually the commercial recreational use is something that mostly the town does, So like the fields on 1A, that did go for like say a special permit through the planning board for that. But it's usually, because again, tennis courts, skate parks, most of that is usually run and designed by a town.
That's not
Because there's,
commercial. It's not really commercial at that point.
well, it falls, so that's where you got the, it's a commercial use per se. It's like you jumping, like you having a basketball court in your backyard in a residential neighborhood is allowed as of right, but that's a basketball court. But if you put 20 basketball courts out there, you can't say that's residential, because it's not, it's commercial, so that's why it's under commercial. Like a skate park is a commercial use, because unless you're filthy rich and you have a huge backyard that you build a huge skate park for your kid, it's more likely that it's going to be run by a town. Tennis courts are run that, like, even say, we don't have so as much here, but say further into the city to have basketball courts, tennis courts in the city. It could be one basketball court with a playground, it's still seen as a commercial use.
Yeah, even like Needham has a lot of playground types in
Yeah.
different neighborhoods, spotted around town.
So that kind of, and not to jump ahead, but again, I tried to find a way to consolidate some of the uses we have in business dealing with recreation. I think we have something called outdoor recreational amusement. So, where is it? Yeah, it's R, so it's 5B14R in your existing zoning bylaws. So not the document I gave you, but we have existing. Defines outdoor commercial amusement, including miniature golf, bumper cars, batting cages, go-kart tracks, driving range, similar uses. And this can obviously be changed, I tried to find a way to just write it as indoor commercial recreation, outdoor commercial recreation, and then define it. The indoor commercial recreation is basically taking the place of, so it's
Mystery.
P and Q of the business section are that weird whole 1,000-foot frontage thing. A lot of those uses were accessory, so I just moved it to accessory. I ignored the 1,000-foot language. And the theater, bowling alley, dance hall, or other indoor amusement, that's where it kind of comes from. So defining that as indoor commercial recreation, having the other outdoor commercial amusement defined as outdoor commercial recreation, and then adding definitions for what those are, which are in the back. They should be at least. Part of the definition section. Basically, adding definitions for what those are,
Yeah. those
Um,
are-
and then possibly replacing like the outdoor commercial use.
So on the first one, does it specifically have to be like on town-owned property, or it doesn't? Or this is the weird
Well-
fuzzy, and we'll just keep it the way it is, semi-public?
I don't know. I mean, I took it because why would it be under section 1?
Because, I mean, there are things here that are not, it's like the fuzziness of institutional,
Right.
like private schools are here too,
Mhm.
hospitals, like, I guess the question would be like, when Wimbledon 109,
Well,
Yeah.
The idea behind semi-public.
I think it's the commercial that throws us off, because it does say public, semi-public, right?
Yeah.
You say commercial, but is it really commercial? It's not.
That's definitely where it's confusing me.
Right, so,
That's why
I don't know if there's enough word, but
institutional
it would be related to something that was
has the
public.
equivalency
Yeah.
of the public institution.
or like, so like if my apartment building wanted to buy a parcel of land across the street, that doesn't exist, and like build a basketball hoop,
Yep.
and like it wasn't charging anyone anything, but it existed, like would that fall under this?
If it was open to the public, I would think so, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Whereas
yeah.
if it's just, you have to pay to get in.
Or if it's just strictly for your use, then it'd be accessory to your building.
To the building, yeah.
That's where it can get funky when you make it accessory to something, where it would be, so, just give an example, bid cars right now, that's a special use, and they want to put a mechanic shop up there. If they were to do that standalone, that's a special permit. but because they've they already tied into the main process, it's an accessory use, so it's allowed as of right. It just has to go through the planning board for
Yeah.
a site plan, but the use is allowed, even though if the guy next door wanted to do it just on its own, he would be going to the zoning board,
I see.
but the bid car can do it because it's not their primary, it's the accessory use to the main.
I see.
So even doing something like that can tweak it from being a special permit to as of right.
So this more would be then like if there was a nonprofit like the Walpole Kids Association, whatever it's
Yeah.
saying, and like they built a playground that wasn't owned by the town, but
Yeah.
it was free to the public. Like that,
Yeah.
that would be this.
Well, I think this would be public, but would it be commercial if the public or the town charged people to come and use it?
I
Does
think
that make
so.
it commercial? But
I mean,
it's still,
But I think it fits here. because
yeah,
it's
right, it
open.
fits here, but
Because
it's,
it's public,
yeah,
yeah.
it's a public use, but you're charging for it, right? And that would make it commercial, I would think, right?
Yeah,
But because the town is the person charging, it's not commerce, it's
And the use
same
of it
idea as
seems to be
tax.
regulated is
I think
obviously
it's okay.
the time of which it's opened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another factor that differs from this and the commercial section. The commercial section is just the use, then we define the use. This seems to be the time of which day it's open, so anything that wants to be open after 9, after 6 PM or after dawn, however they word it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And these, we're not changing anything on those.
I'm not changing, in terms of
No
whether
allowed
it's,
use or,
No.
like, yeah, so.
Well, so do you think the after hours should be under a special permit, or?
I don't really know. I mean, I feel like I'd almost rather have that not be dealt with by zoning. You know what I mean? In terms of hours of operation, I think that's kind of crossing into something that's better covered from a general bylaw than a zoning bylaw. Whereas if the use is allowed in the district, it's already covered elsewhere. It's defined elsewhere, but this seems to be covering uses that are open during certain times, and we already have stuff in place that dictates that, then is that really?
Yeah. Like we have like noise and nuisance bylaws just in the general town bylaws, right?
And that kind of covers everything between the light, noise, odors, vibration, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, our noise ordinance comes to our general bylaws
Yeah.
that don't really have much teeth, being honest. Because it really pertains to residential neighborhoods, not the commercial.
Yeah.
But that, most towns have it that way, or they do a decibel level in their general bylaws.
Can we ban leaf blowers?
Difference with these though,
You can, but I always say it's a good thing to, if you want to go that way, what you got to watch for is who's gonna pay the town proper maintenance then. Because if you ban leaf blowers, all our equipment from DPW goes bye-bye.
Yeah.
So that's a big expense. That's where, because some towns have went all electric, and it came back to DPW going, they have to bring all electric equipment now and cost them millions. So that's where it's kind of that, people don't think of that side.
Maybe we can make them.
Part of this
Oh,
too,
noise
like,
ones.
So, I'm sorry. So Jim, would you foresee an issue with anything being allowed there? I mean,
so again, this is kind of, I know it's weird that it's in 2, but the whole intent of this realistically is for something 90% to 95% that a town would run. And then it's also protected under non-profit or through government function. So usually recreation, as you're seeing there, like, because if you look at it, you've boat canoeing, livery, riding academy, stables, ski grounds. That's actually allowed by special permit in residential neighbourhoods. So it's in the same kind of category as what a golf course is. So if you think of any golf course around this town or any town, it's smack bang in the middle of a residential neighbourhood. The houses around them, because those uses are protected statewide. So this is why part of this is in this portion of it, because mostly everything in this is protected somehow under Mass General Law. So if you look like if you go through it, it's churches, education, libraries, private for-profit schools and charitable schools, nurseries, hospitals. So it goes through on 99% of these are all protected. The only one that's not really protected, that doesn't really have any protection, would be the helipad. But we have that just for emergency hospital and police use and not commercial use. So a resident couldn't get this. mainly for the medevac that we have, or any police use, and the state police use our parks and land. So we've kept it to that. The reason it's in there is, just my own experiences, in my previous town, a few of the owners that lived there wanted helipads in their backyard. It was never allowed in the town at all,
Yeah.
so they couldn't do it. So that's why we have it here, because that's why you'll have certain things in other parts of this that might seem weird, like Patrick said, the marijuana, especially after 2017, if you didn't, so the medical passed in 2012, recreational in 2017, if you didn't have anything into it, you could just walk into town and put it wherever you wanted. So we put it in a certain area, and we said medical could, we voted in, I believe you voted back in 2017, not for recreational. Seems like a weird one in here, but people always say to us, in the commercial we have an adult bookstore, where the adult business can be. Reason being is if you don't put it in here,
You know, anyway.
you can go anywhere, because it's protected under the First Amendment. Seems a weird thing, but porn is protected under the First Amendment. And it can go anywhere in the town if you don't have it in there. So there's certain things like that that seems that are weird, like
Are vape shops treated similarly?
vape shops, no, there's no protection for them. So we actually there's only, I believe there's only, LM is the only place you can have them now.
I think industrial too.
Industrial, yeah, we changed it probably, I think just as I got here, 6-7 years
Yeah.
ago.
Special permit industrial.
18 thereabouts.
Yeah, they changed it from vape that were taken, because it was particularly, again, it's a vape thing, it's retail. So unless you specifically spell it out, it could go in where retail is allowed. So we, like, just give an example, we have 2, maybe 3 gun stores in town. Newton had a huge lawsuit a few years ago where they denied a guy for it. He got him twofold. One, he's retail, because buying and selling a gun is retail. And 2, it's protected under the Second Amendment, you can't stop it. And Newton found out the hard way, they got buried in a lawsuit. We have it, so we have a few of them, and they are in retail. We have one on 1A and one on Norfolk Street.
Yeah, again, I think we should have some kind of fun zone or something, not just restricted to a particular zoning district because of the way our zoning is.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like, if we're gonna put like vape shops, like I argued against this when we made the change, like, so you put it in industrial, but okay, that's right next to a bunch of residents, and that's not really what we want. We want it like away.
The next time.
Well, we needed it in a, I mean, I think that was people's intent, I thought, but we didn't do that.
Well, our zoning map doesn't help too, because like
Yeah,
Yeah.
our LM, it's jotted
it's
around
there
So
and
we
there
don't want
and
the
there
LM
and
because
there
it's too
and.
chaotic.
Yeah, because like if you look, even the simplest things you have, and it seems weird, on Country Kitchen Donuts is right next door to Dunkin' Donuts. Dunkin' Donuts is business. Country Kitchen is LM.
Yeah.
So Dunkin' Donuts can get away with a lot more than Country Kitchen can,
Right.
because they're in 2, even though everybody thinks they're the same district, they're actually not.
Right.
So we're very weirdly spot zoned to a degree that, again, that's why we've got the building going up on High Plain Street. That was a bigger business and it got shrunk down, but it was still a small bit of business and surrounded by residential.
Yeah. Pat, the consultant, I don't know where you guys are at,
Yeah.
that's studying that stuff, can they look at that?
That's
Like-
part of the recommendations of zoning map changes too.
Oh, okay.
So they're actually on medical leave right now, which is
Oh, okay.
great. They hopefully feel
We
better.
were making too much
We're ma-
progress.
So they
One
should be
time I
back
was
in
driving
January.
down 1A and it looked like there was
but we have to be
a car
done
into
by the
the
end of
river
June, no
by
matter
the
what.
Country Kitchen.
So
Do you know anything about that?
But they are gonna
we're on
look at
track.
that?
Yeah,
I think
Some
they
kind of-
went down the road like a
Our
cannon,
Adult.
recommendations.
and
I
the
don't know if
lights
they
were
were
there and
something
had a
like
panic
that?
attack
I
and
don't know if
swerved.
that's specific,
Oh.
but
And
just
just
recommended
plopped
zoning
in.
changes in general,
Okay.
in terms
Yeah.
of our
I think
our
they
base
come
map.
over the hill at speed and realised the lights were there and panicked,
That'd be good.
Yeah.
from what I understand.
What was that? What was that?
A car went into that little river near Country Kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
north
it was
and Main.
coming back from one of these meetings. like-
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that, yeah,
Yeah.
town meeting, I
There
think, or
was
something.
Yeah,
all sorts of
town
fire
meeting,
trucks,
really.
and police
Yeah.
cars out there.
Yeah, I think it was just someone
Or
came
maybe it
over.
wasn't.
There was some meeting, I know they came over, yeah, from what I understand, I think they came over the hill at speed and saw the lights, and, which I must admit, I completely lost those lights there when they first came up and drove straight through them. Thank God there was no one coming the other way, but it's just when you're not used to it, it gets,
Yeah.
it's tricky to get used to them when you've been going down that street non-stop all the time.
Yeah.
So overall, I guess I'm somewhat okay putting in there unless we want to remove entirely. I'm not sure. You know, I don't know where we're going with those two because
What's
I
the
mean,
question?
the commercial recreational.
I think they're.
I guess
I think, yeah, I think they have to stay there, 'cause again, they're one of the few things they do have protection on them.
Yep.
Because again, most of them come from,
The thing is with those, I would say, is we state a few like commercial recreation that goes like as in skateboard parks, tennis courts, etc. That's the limit of the definition. towards it. And I
The
guess that's part of where, you know, I guess defining it, and you mentioned, I don't know if it was you, John, or Ed, but like the commercial, the word commercial is throwing it off, unless we're just looking at it as in
The other thing is,
hours of operation.
the two descriptions are different, yet the only difference in the two categories really is the timing of it. So it's
Yeah.
almost saying like.
But a
if you're-
different kind of
if you're a
business would
tennis
be
court or a
during
skate
the
park,
day.
You can do it after dusk or before dawn, but you can't do it just because you're one of these other things.
Yeah, that's kinda,
That seems a little odd, because like, if you list all of them, on both
Yeah.
categories, then there's a difference of when you're opening, not what you're doing. And that, I think, is the key here, because it's how long it's gonna be open.
yeah, but it is also something about what you're doing too.
Yes,
right?
because some of it
It's-
does, you're not gonna be swimming after dark typically.
No, or riding a horse in the dark.
Yeah.
So that's almost kinda like. well,
And
it's a
some of these are,
judgment
well, we'll see.
And I don't know if that's too far into the weeds, where if it's a special permit in some districts, well, hey, I wanna ride horses after
Because
dark.
it looks
Well, maybe
like
that's why they deny it, cause it doesn't make
The
sense. to
first
do that.
one,
I don't
it's
know.
really stuff that has to be in the lights.
Yeah.
So is that a factor? We might want to add that wording in it, because that's what was allow you to do it before dawn or after dusk. And that's what's basically would be irritating the neighbors, if suddenly you have something, a big light next door to you or something, or down the street.
yeah, well, that's too is why, if you look at them, the one after dusk with lights is not allowed in any of the residential areas at all.
That's where, yeah.
Oh, you're right.
So
yeah.
L is,
But I look into, I know there was something on it, it's kind of that one we were talking about later on that I said there was
Heavy
about
business
one and two
manufacturing
families
away
changing.
from
Yeah.
residential.
There is case law at state level why you have to have it in to cover yourself.
yep.
I'll find it on that one, but that's why I know there's something, I can't remember what it is, but there's something
Yeah.
at state level that you have to have them options.
Maybe it's worded, I didn't notice it so much in a few of the towns, I mean, the exact wording is
Yeah.
kind of what I'm at. But I think in general, to move on, just leave it as is, you know,
Yeah.
I think that's fine.
Agreed.
And then no questions with agricultural, really?
My one question for council would just be whether having it be allowed by right everywhere means only as described under the general laws here, or if that opens up to any kind of agricultural use.
No, so
Is it-
agriculture under Mass General Law 48 is allowed, but it has to be minimum 5 acres under 48, depending on 5 acres and 10 acres. So if you're a nursery or a forestry, you have to be over 10 acres. If you're a farm, you can be under 5, between 5 to 10 acres, but the minimum is 5.
Okay.
So we do have agriculture where we're like less than 2, more than 2 for local. So there's a thing called right to farm in Massachusetts. We're not in it. A lot of towns aren't, but that's how they get into it by putting that in there. This kind of justifies the allowed as of right to a degree. There is no protection at the state for less than 5.
Got it.
So it can be allowed, and you don't get the tax benefits either if you're less than 5 acres.
Got it.
So I also want to point out for all of it, I just to kind of cover, so the parking code, you'll see it throughout, I have footnote 1, which refers to going to section 8. So that was kind of one of my comments from town council, was it's
That's
not
a good
totally
idea.
clear, so that's why you'll see a footnote 1 everywhere. Moving on to residential, which looks considerably smaller than what we had. The long story short is a lot of this was moved to accessory use. Just to kind of run through what those were. and again, we'll go through it, but basically, you know, home occupation, which I think we had, this was worded as a lot of language which could have been summarized, which is what we're kind of doing. Sorry, I have to flip back and forth with you. If you go to the existing table of use, it's 5E1I. We had a few different things like that where it's like, all right, well, it's a lot of words to really kind of summarize what could be one thing. So in the accessory use table, stuff like that was moved from out of residential to be an accessory use for residential, and then defined further. The other things such as like the whole garaging, maintaining of vehicles, the garaging of a trailer, accessory dwelling units, yard sales, private greenhouse, stuff of that nature, raising or keeping a small flock of poultry. So, like I said, we'll go over that accessory use table, but the existing, I guess this new proposed 3, really, you know, 1 family is the same, 2 family, 3 family, I did not touch, only because I brought that up. I think I sent some forward, some of the questions on, so the initial work Jim and I looked into when we were looking at the changes to make those by right rather than special permit. I'm not opposed to it. I think my only concern with all of this is not overwhelming.
Yeah, it should be its own.
It's almost like it should be its own separate
Yeah.
article.
I think it'll be controversial enough that.
I think anything here is gonna be controversial, even if I say it's small, only because
Yeah.
this is much more of a, you gotta read into this to digest the
Yeah.
changes as opposed to the other changes which were really
Yeah.
more legal based.
Yeah, it's something that I would like to do, but I feel like I agree that it should be done
Yeah.
separately.
But there are changes, are there not? Like,
There-
so the conversion, 1 family.
Yep, so
So
that,
you've changed something that used to be special permit, now it's not allowed?
so
and then
that
mixed
is
use
a combination of,
Is now not allowed in,
I have that
GR?
highlighted as a mark
yeah,
for the mixed use. So let's back up to the conversion.
yeah.
We have 2 sections, which is, if you're looking at the existing bylaws, it's 5B1, 3E, and then 5B, and then F. So F, if you read through that, it's in a sense really already covered under basic, 2-family. So you need to have 20,000 square feet, you need to be connected to public sewer, and then you can convert a 1-family that existed on January 1st, 1956 to a 2-family. Well, why do we need a separate section if we're already making a 2-family, a special permit with the same criteria? And the other one, and you know, this is what we were talking about in terms of language that we need to have in here. We essentially took the language of E with the criteria of F and combined it. The reason being is essentially a 2-family by conversion. You know, we allow for 2-family in the general residence, and obviously if it's a pre-existing non-conforming use, but we don't really have allowance for 2-family or 3-family within the RB, RA, and rural. So that criteria, why that was carried forward, and it seems obviously more strict, is I'm not sure if the existing criteria was permissible or circumventing our zoning. It's almost like
So
closing a
even though
loophole.
it said like special permit, if you actually get into it, it wouldn't be allowed. And so that's why you changed it to not allowed?
Not to put it on this guy, but just in general, right? If you say a 2-family as defined is not allowed in the RA,
Yeah.
but then it's existing, what is essentially existing on January 1st, 1956, which I'm taking to mean on or before.
Before, yeah, before June. Yeah,
So if you have an
that's what
older
I'm
home in
saying.
the RA, you're allowed to convert that into 2-family, but then we don't allow 2-family.
Yeah.
So is that kind of contradicting itself, or is that almost like closing a loophole? I
Yeah,
take it to be, if I'm gonna allow 2-family in the RA, RB, I feel like I'd rather have it stated than to allow the loophole, which kind of Why, I mean, I don't know, why does an older
Invite
home get to be a
someone
two-family?
Yeah, because right now,
Make a
Yeah.
case. and-
say if you had a house that was in a single family neighbourhood, always was, because our zoning map did get changed in 56. But say you had a single family home that was always in it and got put in an RA area, or it's in a single family, it always has been in a single family area.
Mhm.
There is no protection. Well, the protection is that you could have a non-conforming lot, you're still allowed to keep your home.
Yeah,
If you have a two-family in a single-family area and you're prior to 56, you get to keep it. So there's always with this, and no one's actually ever tested legality-wise. So 56 depends on your town.
yeah.
We're actually dealing with a person, I had my friend out, who the town zoning didn't kick in until 77.
Wow. Like
So
that.
it's really weird, or it's nearly closer to 80, which is really, really weird. But the thing is, if you're before 56 and you were a two-family in a single-family neighbourhood, you're pre-existing non-conforming, but you're also got protection there because you're existing before 56 where zoning came in.
Mhm.
So you can't do anything. Cause so like, again, example right across on Stone Street,
Mhm.
we have a lot of two-families that, they are in GR, but they don't meet the criteria of our zoning, but they've been there for so long. We've some in Stone Street, we've some in residential, we've some in industrial area that are single-family homes. They can stay there, they're prior to 56. If someone created a two-family, say, without anybody knowing about it, there is legality saying, no, you can't go for a special permit to bring it back or change it. Because technically, if you were to take a single family and convert it to two-family through special, the way this is through special permit,
Mhm.
you're given a special permit to allow you to violate state code. Because now you're creating not even a pre-existing non-conformity, so I mean, you're creating a new non-conformity.
Mm.
You're not even protecting an old one, because you had a single family and a single family. Now you're creating a two-family and a single family, so
I see.
it was a kind of, because again, I remember myself and Patrick had talked
Yeah.
about this, it seemed weird wording, but there is case law, again, this is one of the weird cases, that there is protection again prior to 56, what you're allowed to do. And some things Walpole actually have under the other sections for expanding of a pre-existing non-conforming building up to 50% of the use. If you have a non-conforming use, same with building, it was actually ahead of some of the big major cases that came out that now protect single-family homes. Walpole actually had those on the books already, which was good.
Well, let me ask you this, not to kind of ask a question myself, but basically, the way this language is written, so conversion or use of a one-family dwelling existing on January 1st, 1956 is a dwelling for not more than two families. Say it's, all right, so special permit in the general residence,
Mhm.
the general residential district.
Mhm.
If I have a lot that's under 20,000 square feet and it's prior to 1956, would I be exempt from the requirements of the lot area for a two-family then?
No, because if you had a two-family, you are, but if you have a single family, you need to go this way to turn it into a two-family.
That's what I mean, so
You wouldn't
say
need the
I
lot
have a
area.
18,000 square foot lot, it's a single family that existed prior to 1956. and I
You
want to
just need
convert
a
it to
special
two-family.
permit.
I just need a special permit under this, I don't need to comply with the 20,000 square foot
No.
requirement.
No.
So that's kind of almost like another way of opening up, I mean, it's already existing, so that's the thing,
Yeah.
the language isn't anything new, but it is to kind of, I guess,
Yeah,
explain what the benefit of something like this is, it allows for a home that predates that section of zoning too.
Yeah, I need to find that section in the court cases, I haven't had to find it
Yeah.
yet, but I'll get that
I'll
for you.
highlight that one too. Is there any questions on
And that section 5B2, like, is that one that we're changing, or did change?
that? 5B, which one?
Yeah, that it refers to, like the
Oh,
the three-family and the two-family. Have we touched on that
So
section yet, or no?
3-family and 2-family, as it states currently in the bylaw,
Yeah,
I haven't changed that language.
no, but the actual section that it refers to.
To this section 5B2.
Oh, you're talking about underneath, oh, so you're,
Specific
I think we're mixing
requirements.
things up, so I was talking about, we're having a conversation on E, are you talking about D now?
G.
G?
Or D.
Yeah,
D
yeah,
and
both
G.
D and G are.
G have references as well.
Yep, yep, so D and G, and I think I have a few, home occupation was another one. Those have become a new section that expands on, you know, we have a bunch of criteria that goes into for that use, and rather have it lumped into the use table or made a footnote, and so its own subsection. So, because it just has a little bit more criteria, and you wanna defer someone, hey, if you wanna have a dwelling for more than 3 families, or you wanna have a mixed-use development, the section 5E2, which was ADUs, is broken up into, and, you know, 5B2A for occupancy by more than 3 families, and then 5B2B for mixed use. And I highlighted both of those because I think that's something I do definitely want to go over with y'all.
Okay.
Just because though these uses, I think, require additional attention, and probably also you want to kind of highlight out, not just something that says, not something just stuck within the use table, especially for mixed use. That's something we all just talked about in the previous meeting, is how we regulate that. But if we want to go to, I guess, what I provided you, and I think it has written in our existing bylaw, 5B13D, dwelling or occupancy by more than 3 families. The new language says pursuant to section 5B2A. If we were to go to the back of the document I provided you to that 5B2 use-specific requirements, you know, title working, we have a better way of saying that. The one I highlighted really was the third requirement of the 50-foot buffer, because I think we've talked about that
Yes.
prior, whether or not that is something that.
That should definitely have been spelled out better than the old one, I think.
Yeah, either spelled out better, removed, or shortened, something that.
I think it should go with the way the rest of our buffers go with from the designated zoning line, the district zoning line.
Yeah.
Because again,
Where,
I always had an issue with this one because if you, again, you only required 100 foot for your GR. And if you have a single house each side of you, you have to keep 50-foot setback. You can't build on that lot. You've got a lot in a multi-family district that you cannot build on. It defeats the purpose of what GR is designed for. And all our setbacks and buffers on this usually comes from the district zoning line. So if you're in the middle of GR, and not if you have a single family each side of you, okay, you can't handicap the person here because you bought and you built in a.
All you have is 100-foot of frontage, you don't have a big lot anyway.
Exactly, but you could have a long deep lot. So say you had a 30,000 square foot lot that's 100 foot wide and goes way back. You technically could put 2 houses there, but with the 50-foot buffer on each side, you can't build anything, not even a single family home there.
Well, that's why they have special permit zoning, so zoning can make an allowance for it.
Yeah, but this buffer, this 50-foot buffer won't allow you to build a 2-family, even though you have the land to build a 3-family technically. Because this buffer, or if you have a vacant lot beside you, it says you have to have a 50-foot buffer off it.
what's if you have more than 3 families? So if you're doing a multi-family development, the way
Yeah.
it's defined. But either way, what you're saying and what we're all saying is that language, it's kind of over the top. It says basically if you're adjacent to a lot that's a single family dwelling or is a vacant lot.
Yeah.
Whereas if we kept 50 foot, or we could change it, but if we change the language to be a 50-foot buffer zone shall be required with the adjacent.
Anywhere else. What's the standard buffer distance?
In GR, 10
Oh,
feet.
No, I mean for zoning.
Buffers, it depends
Maybe
if you're
commercial
residential
to
to a loud commercial use, it's 26 feet. In some areas, it's 40 feet buffer
So
for
we should make
commercial.
it no more than 40 then.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, I go less because not being, again, you're not doing commercial, you're doing residential to residential.
True.
So, again, what I don't like, personally, I didn't like it was, again, if you have a house here, I can build it within 10 feet of the property line.
Yeah.
But if I want to do a 2 or 3 family in this case, and I have the land, I
Right.
have to be 50 foot away.
so.
Yeah, that doesn't, you're right, it doesn't.
seems-
So it's
Really,
almost a matter of right, and you're not allowing them to do it.
Yeah,
But one thing we can think of also is, okay, 40 is one suggestion,
Mhm.
but the GR lot next to it already has 10. The GR lot on the other side already has 10. So if we even were talking 40, by making it 30 feet buffer, that's still giving them 40 feet in between the houses.
So
So if we
what,
reduced it to a 30-foot
I
buffer,
think I'd make it a little simpler where I wouldn't have it be dictated by the use on the lot, but the zoning district which it's in. So a 50-foot buffer, whatever the distance is, shall be required with the adjacent lot. Again, with the
With the
adjacent lot
adjacent
resides
lot
in a
side.
rural RA, RB zoning district.
Yeah.
So the zoning district dictates it, rather than if it's in the general residence, you don't need to have a buffer. It should be really basically if you're on the fringe of the GR and the RA, RB rural, which are
True.
family only districts.
So what if the GR was abutting a RA or RB lot, would you need the buffer then?
Then because then it's a district zoning line.
Lines,
That's
right.
So that's what I think is if you're in a GR and you're surrounded by GR, it shouldn't matter, if everybody else can go 10
Yeah.
to a degree. You could, like, again, to John's point, if you wanted to put a buffer in, put something that's realistic. A 50-foot buffer, if you have a single family each side of you, kills your lot. Right now, it's 10 feet in GR.
I mean, you could do a setback.
You could do
rather
a
than
setback,
buffer.
3 units,
Right.
20 feet buffer.
Yeah,
Because honestly, if I'm being a developer and I'm, this 50-foot cramps where my building can go, I'm gonna put all my parking, all my playgrounds, my garage, I'm gonna put right up against the neighbour's property. Then you have all the lights of the cars pointing at you, you have the kids screaming next door to you, because you're forced to put it in that 50-foot buffer.
Yeah.
But I'd also say, if we did keep a buffer, just have it based upon.
District
if it's-
zoning lines.
Yeah, so this is only a certain circumstance, if it's a general residence parcel that is literally abutting a property that's in the RA, RB, or rural. So the GR, if you're in the GR, that buffer doesn't comply, you just have to comply with your setbacks.
so if you have it to the property line, it kind of goes against what we did when we made a change before, because I think I said before, when they did the Kentucky Fried Chicken and they came into the planning board for that, technically, they didn't have to put a 40-foot buffer because there was like a 10 or 15-foot strip of land behind all of the residents there.
Yeah.
So their argument was, they didn't need the 40-foot from the boundary, it was because they weren't, it was the property line
It was a
before.
split lot
And they
line.
didn't need it because they were up against another piece of property,
Yeah.
another
Yeah.
commercial. So that's when.
So that's when it
made-
tweaks, is if you have a split, if your lot is split by a district boundary line, you can put the buffer into that line. So that's where we got the balance, and do we say it's from a district zoning line,
Right,
which most of them are good, there's 1 or 2 that won't be good as a whole, or do we say, okay, you need 20 foot if you do more than 3, if you do 3 or more from your property line, but then again, will that affect someone trying to build in the middle of the GR, because now they're handicapped?
right.
Well, what if we set up, kind of like what Pat was saying,
Yeah.
based on what type of zoning is to your side, based it on the other zones
District.
setback. So if you're sitting next to RA, you need 15 feet of buffer on each
Oh.
side. B, you need 20 feet of buffer on each side.
That'd be a good twist.
On top of your.
That-
top of
that-
your-
that would be
Replacing
your-
your
Oh,
side.
replacing it.
Instead of having a 50-foot buffer, have the buffer be
Whatever the
side
district
setback
is.
of the
That's pretty good,
adjoining
yeah.
lot. So if it's in GR.
It's like
you
extending
have
the-
10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
The
it's
district.
B,
District,
it's
yeah.
15, you're kind of trying to blend it in with
On
the
that
adjacent
side.
areas.
Yeah, again, that's what I'm saying is either,
It keeps the buffer,
do you want to go that way, or again, and that's where you got to find a balance. You've got a good point, very good point there. Ed's got a good point on if the lot, so if you are beside an RB zone, but the RB is in the middle of the house, your buffer goes from there.
well, no, we're
Or
just
do you
saying.
go from the
the
property
required
line?
Property
buffer,
line.
The required buffer, not what the actual buffer is.
Well, more like your side setbacks are
Yeah,
replaced
your
by
side
what-
setback,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
you're
that's where
using
you
your
got-
side setback, what the requirement is, not necessarily what they've taken, but what it.
So that,
Can you do whatever, like, let's say, would it apply to rear as well? Let's say the
Mhm.
most
boundary
of the
is,
rears are the same in GR, RB, RA, are
Everything
all
is
the
in
same.
the
Sorry.
dark, yeah.
okay,
But
so
it
basically
goes-
side is the only one. that
Well,
It's
yeah.
additional
Yeah.
five.
The ones
You know
that
what,
go up
if
to
we had the
20.
setback, we're not gonna have a variable really. Whereas, you know, Joe, what you're saying is if it's like the zoning line or something like that, it can actually vary what the setback would actually be, right? It
Yes.
could-
Yes,
So
it'll be
if we had the
dependent-
setback, at least it's the same every place, you know?
It is, but it
True.
would definitely be,
But then
it'd be
again,
a buffer, which I don't know if we want.
it would
a buffer
affect
on.
GR more than anything else, because like
Yeah.
you said, GR side setback is 10. If we force it to have the rear setback of 30, again, you're taking a 100-foot lot, and you're lopping off 60 feet of it. You can build a building there, but it's not gonna have the same ability.
But
Well,
not
yeah.
so much 60 because, say if you're in GR and you bought, say, RA,
Mhm.
you're only taking off of one side, you still got 10 feet on the other side because that other side's in GR. So right now, the way the 50 foot is
True.
if my house is in the middle of GR, I lose 100 feet automatically.
Yeah,
But to your point, if you bought, say, RA, you're only taking on, so if your lot's on the left, you're only taking the left side
Yeah.
setback. The right side is in touching GR, so it's gonna be 10 feet.
Yeah.
So you're only
Right.
handicapped on one side.
I
Right,
like that.
That's a good idea. I like that.
So actually though, if we use the buffer, they're not gonna really be able to use that land. And they may have to enhance it with trees or something like that.
Well, to
if
your
that's
point about the
case.
fear of the buffer going to district line,
Yeah.
lose the district line, but uses John, if the lot next door changes, so if, say if the lot next door is half GR and half RA, but they've built a single family home, then we say, yeah, the buffer has to go from the property line that butts another district, rather than the district zoning line. So if some of your lot is in GR, you can't do what you're saying, what KFC did, they hid the buffer on the other parcel.
Right,
With John's way, if we go to the property line that you bought another district, your property line has to match the other district.
Do property line too, I think that's.
Yeah, that would work, what
easy
John
to-
is saying then.
I'm not sure if I'm.
So, say, I'll do
I know you're talking.
crude drawing. So say you have GR here, you have a lot of GR. If I have GR and GR here, right now, it's from here, it's here, it's dead. But say if this was RA, so we can come off of this side, it'll be 20 feet, and this is GR, you're only 10.
Right,
But to Ed's point, if your district zoning line comes down, and this line is RA over here, yours GR here, but there's a single family home built here, rather than going from the district zoning line, which say it would put 20 feet, it's still here.
mhm,
But if you go off the property line, because you're abutting a new district, you actually still go 20 feet off of your property line,
right, well, so that should be the way.
not the district line. So
Oh,
I think
yeah.
a combination of both would work very well.
Yeah,
That
maybe
would
the
work.
question was, I suppose the question is, in a split lot like that,
Mhm.
do we want to make it the most restrictive? or the
Well, I'd
least
say,
restrictive?
to your point, go with whatever district you
Whichever
bought
is directly
is
abutting.
the budding, because GR is the most stringent.
What if, for instance, instead of having that diagonal line, the line is a straight line, so that part of it borders RA and part of it borders GR?
Yeah, we have districts, we have actually houses that are split right down the middle,
Well, I'm thinking one splitting
this way.
that way, yeah.
Yeah,
So
so-
it's bordering both.
So that's where it comes into play then, if you could only build out here to get two family, because this is RA. So,
Oh, well, yeah, you're
So-
right.
so you're limited,
How about
and then you
this?
can still use that
That
there.
would be-
So if you replace through with where the property abuts a single-family district, the development shall incorporate the setback requirements of that abutting district
From the property line.
from the property line.
Yeah,
I think that'd be a good one.
yeah.
That kinda meets all
Reference that in.
Three criteria.
Mhm. It's reasonable, it's, you know, it provides some
It
protection, but
creates
it's
a
not like,
buffer.
it doesn't
Yeah.
render
Well,
lots.
I also don't think it's gonna
unbuildable.
really happen ever. I mean, you are like, I mean, it's
Well,
good to have it in there, but
I'm
it is
thinking how
also-
many places are we gonna have, maybe?
I really don't
Yeah.
wanna-
Kind of a one hand or
Five.
something that.
Oh, easy, I think the 3 years ago, 4 years, we ran the numbers,
Yeah.
there was like 7%.
Well, we looked at, this is different though, this is basically how many general residential properties
Can do three
are
families.
abutting a single-family district, and then have the side, the land use
Size of a
requirements
lot.
to actually, like, so you're gonna need at least 40,000 square feet to comply with this bylaw.
Yeah,
If I did that, the number's gotta be like
minuscule.
nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, something.
One hand.
Yeah, really,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
so,
Like a GR is very little you can actually develop on.
so in a sense though, this does, I mean, so it's good to incorporate this, I like the way it's written, or I like the thought behind it, but it does take away the buffer requirement, I guess, that we have in place currently, and if we're okay with that.
True, but
Yeah.
so many people are ignoring the buffer requirement anyways.
Yeah, well, this one's,
Only for this
This
case,
is
we're not
ridiculous.
taking away buffer.
No,
no,
we're saying
no,
this
it's
is
just
just
for
buffer.
this,
Yeah,
yeah.
this is
Because
good,
again,
yeah.
honestly, my personal opinion is it kills a lot of GR.
Yeah.
It is.
If we use the, as written.
The actual
as
50 foot.
proposed.
50-foot one.
And what's
Yeah.
written there right now.
It would kill.
And this one, I don't think it would, even if, so say we have a property in place that's
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm abutting a rural district, all right, that shouldn't kill it, you're talking about adding another 5 to 10 feet on the side setback. That's
Exactly.
not-
Yeah.
Just need to put your driveway on
How
that
much do
side.
you really wanna put in where you have single families all around you, really?
Yeah.
Do you really wanna stick 4 houses
Hey,
in
people
that
do
lot?
crazy things, I don't
Well, I
know,
mean,
but you
because
could,
if you say buffer, then it's gonna have to conform to the language of the buffer, that it has to be like undisturbed and you can't use it, or you may have
Yes,
to
you're
enhance it
right.
with
He's right
trees or
there,
something
too.
like that, so
that's a good point.
it's gonna force you to do more.
Well-
I mean, on
Not
that
be able to
point,
use
maybe
it.
we don't call it buffer. Maybe that's
What's this?
confusing.
Well,
I think
that's-
I did, yeah,
It's like
basically
adopting a
setback.
different setback.
That's where we have it, yeah, it's not as a buffer, it's just to have incorporating the setback of the,
Yeah.
of the district, which.
Because if we have the word buffer,
It's tricky,
people are
yeah.
gonna like
Yeah.
go
But you
the
wouldn't
other.
Because if you
You
say
couldn't put
buffer,
a
it's gonna
structure
trigger all of
in
that
though, so
other
there's no
Right, yeah.
structure,
definition
you would
language
have,
in there.
you can't regulate,
Well-
I guess.
If you call it setback, though, you can put certain things in the setback that you wouldn't be able to put in the buffer. You could put your garage in the setback, right?
No.
In the setback,
Depends
well,
on the size, the requirements.
24 by 24, 15 feet high.
Yeah.
but
I don't know many
still-
Goes to 6
multifamily
feet though,
buildings that
right?
could have a garage though, or a separate garage,
Hmm.
maybe.
But you can do that in the setback, but you couldn't put it in the buffer.
Right.
No,
Right.
don't put the buffer, no.
No, buffer wouldn't have it. So.
Well, the whole thing is it's needing a special permit anyway, so I think zoning can use its judgment there to
Yeah.
whether it's appropriate to put something there or if it needs something there.
So if you want, I mean, I have to go through the files, I don't know how often this has actually come up, definitely not since I've been here, that has anyone applied for like a multifamily within the GR.
Again, I'm sorry.
I don't know how often this even comes up, I don't know when it's applied for a multifamily within the GR. I think some of it has to do with that
So
buffer
are you
requirement, but-
looking at D as 4 separate or one building with 4 units?
Either or.
Either
Either
or,
or.
yeah, so the
Either or.
definition would stay the same for what we have, at least right now, is how I
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
have it.
Yeah.
So it isn't just that you're putting, I think part of the issue is you don't want 50,000 square foot home here and a 40,000 square foot home here.
No.
That was the big issue. Well, that's why you want the buffer to hide the big homes from here. So, but if you're building separate, smaller homes,
Well,
it's
I
gonna
mean,
be
this could,
less.
this would be a multifamily building though.
Yeah.
This, like
Well-
a singular building that has 4 units.
It could be that.
Yeah, or it could be 4 single standalone homes
No,
in GR. If
this isn't so dwelling for occupancy by more
Oh, my
than 3
apologies.
families. So
So
that's,
you're going for the buildings, not
we're
the.
talking about the building, this is what this section is, if you're just doing a standalone multifamily, how we define it would be
So
a dwelling with more
we
than
are
3
correcting
families.
64A then, or?
No, this is,
Should you have a dwelling?
more than 3. Yeah, a dwelling, yeah,
Uh,
I think so. A dwelling.
Singular, right?
Yeah, a dwelling, yeah, a dwelling.
Let's see, where is, 6.
So 64A, we did move to 5G. So 64A, not to go all over the place, but so if we're just looking at our residential table, which was on the screen, I also have a footnote up in GR, only for this section, footnote 2. Footnote 2 refers to,
65G
Okay,
is
so
required
5G
for more than one principal building on a lot.
because we don't right now have that, other than you just have to know where it is.
Yeah.
So that's why, I'm sorry, take a long time to do that. So 2, only under the residential district, section 5G. See section 5G for requirements for more than one principal building on a lot, which is the whole more than one.
Single family.
Single or 2, you could have multiple 2 families, but
Duplexes.
then you would need 2 special permits.
Yeah.
So, are you doing buildings or dwellings?
So this would.
So you do dwellings, because if you said building, a building could have 1 unit, could have 10 units. Dwellings
Yes.
is what triggers this, if you do
What-
dwellings for 3,
Dwellings is determining how much lot size you need,
yeah.
how many dwelling units, whether it's within one building or separate.
Mhm.
So dwelling is actually defined as a place of residence where they live, correct?
Yeah,
But a building can be anything.
building could have 20 units in it, or could have 1
Right,
unit in
but
it.
it also could be a garage,
Yeah,
Yes, it
something
doesn't
like
have to be a
that, so-
yeah.
residence.
So this is going on,
Do you wanna put,
No,
leave it
so,
at buildings or,
no, dwellings, you leave it dwellings.
Well, leave it as.
Because buildings is,
Yeah.
again, it could be accessory building to it.
right?
The whole
So should
intent
that
of
be
the.
changed to dwelling, you think? I mean,
It is-
you just
it
said
is
it right
dwelling.
there.
It is dwelling. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
a dwelling for occupancy of more, add the A.
Where were we?
Sorry,
What
D.
did you just have it?
What we just showed was, you guys referenced 6C4A, and I was showing that we have a new footnote for footnote 2.
Yeah.
Right
Yeah.
now,
Okay, in the footnote, it had building.
footnote refers to, oh, you're right, so maybe that needs to change.
So it's
For section,
G,
C
yeah.
section 5G for requirements for more than one principal building on a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is how we have it worded, really, which is.
Yeah, because if you do a 10-unit building, say you've 10 dwelling units, but you've 1 principal building.
Okay. Yeah, but it's for more than one principal building, and then you could have multiple units.
Yeah,
you can
so,
have multiple dwelling unit buildings, yeah.
so, say you are in the GR and you have a 60,000 square foot lot. You could do 6 single-family homes, and you would have to apply for the special permit, which is now under 5G, which was 64A.
Yeah.
Or, in theory, you could do 2 3-families, or you could do
1.
3
six-
2-families,
one
but that would
six-
require 2 special
Two
permits.
families and a garage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you wanted, you know what I mean, so if you wanted to
Right,
just
there's
do single
multiple
family, it's
choices,
one, or if you wanted to do two separate special permits, one for the 2-family, one for the more than one principal dwelling.
Yeah, you'll go
Yeah.
through 2 of them.
So, are we, all right, we've talked about that. G, mixed use, back to, this is probably the big conversation for tonight, well, one of the big conversations. So, mixed-use development comprised of commercial uses on the ground floor of residential dwelling units, only occupying floors above the ground floor pursuant to section 5E2B. I highlighted this. Right now, we allow it by special permit in the GR. I made it an X and I highlighted it only because I think we talked about this at a meeting, which is why I highlighted it pink. But essentially, it limits a mixed-use development to only business and central business district, which I don't think is really big now.
Right now, that's under commercial or is it under residential?
It's under residential. So,
So this would prevent a business or a commercial
in the
from going into
GR,
a GR.
which, again, could it happen? Yeah, I don't have it. I mean, it hasn't happened since I've got here. It's only been business or central business district, I think.
The
So
only
like
thing I'm thinking
a
is-
corner store.
Yeah,
or
I
like
was saying of a convenience store that's
A small
on the.
convenience store
Ooh, which,
with residential above, we wanna prohibit that.
yeah, I would, I mean, it's, the only reason being is we have business intertwined within the general residence district. We have East Walpole Center itself, so allowing for that to kind of occur everywhere, yeah, I mean, you're kind of defeating it as being a residential district. It's a higher density residential district, but I think you wanna have business located in key areas rather than the potential of
Yeah.
business everywhere throughout the entire district. Because I don't know, to me, it's a discussion for all of you, but I don't really see the benefit
There are
of
other
that.
ways of doing that without using that particular use.
I'd rather
In
leave
GR.
the GR.
There are other ways of
residential.
doing it.
Doing
GR
what?
than
A mixed,
putting a commercial in.
doing
below it.
mixed use development?
Yeah,
How? Other than
Well, just the
home
ways
office.
we've been talking about, to the 2 family or 3 families or whatever.
No, this is just if you're incorporating the commercial on the first
Right.
floor with
Which is not, a
residential units
commercial is
above.
not allowed in GR, so that was a
Right,
weird
so
thing.
we don't want, so I agree that
Yeah.
getting rid of that as a special permit.
Does, the way that it is currently,
Yeah,
does that allow for larger numbers of units in whatever properties would try to use the mixed use? No, yeah, okay.
no.
So this is just saying.
Yeah, and I think it was just worded, because, again, I think this was, the GR portion says in GR requirements, which makes this is where it tripped me up as well, as in the GR requirements of the use table, section 3D, which we go back to the dwelling occupancies.
Yeah. It's in-
I think it was meant to be C and B, the footnotes I and II, for CBD were meant to be in. I don't think that's special permit, because again, that's the whole intent of GRs for multifamily,
Yeah.
Mhm.
not for any businesses in
Yeah.
there. Like, we can't even barely get multifamily in multifamily right now.
I suppose the only thing was, going back to the old days, someone had the shop on the floor
Yeah.
and lived above it.
Yeah,
And that was,
Yeah,
You
I mean,
work
we
live.
you would have that in the GR district, like, you'd have them all.
The home occupancy.
Yeah, but that's the thing, home occupancy is still
But that,
allowed. you
there
just-
are requirements for home businesses, it's just not a retail use, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And,
Well, you could have the whole business in your apartment, right?
Yeah.
so yeah, you can
Yeah,
have, you
you
can
can
register
have
your
it-
As
business,
long,
and
yeah, as long as you.
then there's other
conform to
criteria,
everything,
that like, if you're a tutor and you have kids coming to your house, you can't have more than 4 kids in your house while you're teaching them. Adequate parking, you can only have 1 employee, but a lot of that's through special permit. Because everybody has that home people have a
Right.
doctor, the chiropractor, a hairdresser,
Mhm.
which is allowed as of right in your home.
Yeah, like if I live in Kendall, on Kendall, like I don't wanna have somebody have a little ice cream shop on the first floor of their house. Like,
Yeah.
not that I usually talk about parking, this is like, there'll be like random traffic,
Yeah.
it's
I would say the only thing would
It
be
also
like
doesn't-
the corner store or a convenience store. I know, one of the apartment buildings, my daughter lived in Miami, and they had one, and they had a little bit of everything down there, and the place, it had to be a gold mine, because
Yeah.
there was
Yeah.
oh, sure.
numerous people, and they were
If you
all
have
the
the
time,
right
but it was
thing,
convenient.
everyone in the building
Park in the
is gonna go
garage,
down
you
there.
come
Why
upstairs,
go
you go in
elsewhere
the
when
store,
you
and then
can
you
go
go up to your
downstairs?
unit, you know,
And that's
so-
the way it should be.
But that's the only thing that I would see, that
Yeah, that's.
could be allowed there, you know?
Put a 7-Eleven on the ground floor, everyone's gonna go there, because they don't have to go outside.
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
Jim's,
yeah.
Jim mentioned a point too, so if you have your existing bylaws in front of you, there's a line under, I guess, 5B1, 3G that says, in the GR zone, the requirements of use table section 3D must be met.
Sorry, where is this?
This is on our existing zoning, so where it goes 5B1, 3G, existing
3G.
language for mixed use.
Got it.
There's a line about in the GR zone, the requirements of use table section 3D must be met. Section
3D is-
3D.
Is basically telling you,
It's
the-
the same one we were looking at.
Yeah, it's the same one we're talking
It's the
about, which is
multifamily.
also, yeah.
you're only allowed residential there.
Which is probably why there's been no mixed use in the general
Yeah.
residence, because there's no multifamily in the general residence, because the requirements have been
So,
very restrictive with the 50-foot buffer. I guess my point is, I mean, like, we can have it in there, by special permit, I just,
I think we should
my
take it
thought
out.
is.
I think,
was
yeah.
it?
Yeah.
I think we should take it out.
I
Yeah,
think
okay, yeah,
anything
yeah.
that's, was gonna be there is already there. And
Yeah.
As the
Yeah.
families age out, they're not gonna wanna do the same
And I also
thing.
think of like, we're gonna, we'll go through my suggested
Everybody
sections
wants to
for that
yeah,
changes for
that's
mixed
what
use,
everybody
but
doesn't want it.
I don't think we'd like somebody having, we already have the issue where people have utilized the existing bylaw to essentially have a ton of residential with no commercial.
Yeah,
And even if we change that, which we're being proposed to, the GR to me, I feel like should be a higher density residential only district. And obviously if there's a pre-existing use, that's one thing, if there's home occupancy,
Right.
that's one thing,
Yeah,
but.
I mean, to the point, like even, not even as far out from the central business district, like my building, which is only the edge of the central business
Yeah.
district, like can't support mixed use commercial
Yeah.
very clearly. So like, how is it gonna go?
Yeah,
so you put something in there that the tenants want.
But after everything, times have changed, the corner store in residential, like
Everything's
subdivisions,
now-
was always there, because
now
you'd send your
ordered
kids
from
down.
Amazon.
Now
Yeah.
kids won't cross the street without getting an Uber, so they ain't going picking anything up.
Well, I used to.
Besides, everything's delivered now anyway.
Exactly,
Right?
yeah.
Ride a mile down
Probably get
Washington
delivered
Street,
faster than you can go get it.
Yeah.
Just
Mary's,
take the elevator down.
Get my penny candy. or-
Yeah, those days are
Save
gone
your time,
now.
guys.
Yeah.
So if we go to, so we have mixed use, I've changed I guess the wording to G. This now says pursuant to section 5B2B. And if we wanna look at that, this kinda goes back to our discussion at the last meeting of what are we gonna do about the existing language. And so, to kind of explain a little bit, there's other towns nearby that do allow mixed use or multifamily, and some have had simplistic ways of doing it, but the simplistic ways that I've found are either something that's pre-existing, like Norwood, for example, has pre-existing language. Me and Jim looked over it, you can tell they put that in there, but you can't actually do any mixed use really. It's like if you're looking at a 10,000 square foot lot in Norwood, and if you're just doing mixed use, you could have 3 units of residential in a 10,000 square foot lot, which isn't a lot, but for someone to do new development, it doesn't get utilized.
Yeah.
So, in order to go around that, they created a higher density mixed use district as an overlay, which is kind of like what we did for the MBTA, is a higher density. So, how allowing for mixed use development, trying to find a way to fix the language we have here with, I guess I'm struggling between how do you allow it as kind of like a somewhat simplistic, all right, you need to meet these requirements change, or create a more comprehensive zoning rewrite. And that's the flaw I guess I have with that, and I'm trying to find a way to have it be easy, but also not leave stuff out in the open, which is what we've already had. So of course I highlighted it in red, which is incredibly easy to read. Just to go, I mean, if we want to kind of go through these, requirements.
Which page is this on?
This is
You just showed me the
the
page.
page after the footnotes.
This one.
That one, got it.
So I have 5 requirements. The non-residential commercial use shall be located only on the ground floor of the front facade facing the street or other public space such as public park, plaza, or sidewalk. That's language I took from the MBTA, which basically, doesn't need to be a size requirement. But I did put a minimum of 30% of the gross floor area of the ground floor must be utilized for a commercial use. This commercial use does not include any amenity or leasing space associated with the residential use and may not include parking of any type. So, trying to make it clear that parking is not a commercial use, and saying that, the building's gym as a commercial use, unless it's publicly usable, does not count. And the open air parking for residents must be located to the rear side or within the within the development, away from public view. Covered residential parking may be incorporated within the ground floor and or subfloor of the development, but shall not occupy the entirety of the ground floor space, which kind of goes back to the whole, at least 30% of that ground floor space is commercial. Commercial use may be located within a separate building within the same development, provided that no building on site is more than 80 feet from the nearest adjacent building associated with the overall development. Basically what that is, all right, if you want to allow for mixed use, but you have a commercial standalone use as a front portion of a lot and a separate building, and you want to have a separate residential building on the same lot. So I guess this kind of goes back to whether or not you need 2 special permits now if you're going to have more than one principal to it. No,
No, not for commercial.
not for commercial, you're right, yeah, so basically this is saying you can have your residential in a separate building from the commercial on the same lot.
But they can't be too far apart.
They can't be too far apart, and the 80 feet, again, I took from the MBTA as well,
Yeah,
to not
it's like-
try to utilize space.
When I lived in Cambridge, I lived in like a six building unit that like used a little there was a little shed,
Yep.
like haircut place.
Yeah, so if you're gonna have more of a building, you definitely have to go through the other one too.
Well, I think that, to Jim's point, commercial use, you wouldn't have to.
Strictly commercial, yes, that's allowed.
Yeah,
So
strictly
that's allowed
commercial.
under 5G, yeah.
Yes. And then the other one, residential density is regulated based on the units per acre of the proposed development site. Residential density is as follows, and this is again language that comes kind of from the MBTA, whereas the central business district mimics the higher density and the business district mimics the lower density outer core district. So that to me is trying, I mean, it's not perfect, we could find a million ways to change it up, but in my brain, I guess, to do a mixed use as a use, it's either overly simplistic or it should be done as like a new section. And this is trying to find a way to clean up what we already have there. So I don't, the other thing that we talked about last time is what if we just don't allow for mixed use within the central business district and it just refers people to just follow the MBTA zoning. And I think the only concern there was, well, what if that what if it just do multifamily and we don't want to lose that commercial space? And then the same thing with the MBTA district, which again, these aren't impossible changes, but it's just things to factor in is you could do a commercial corridor, but then you would have to now go back and expand the MBTA district to take on more space because now you reduce square footage, which is part of the requirements of the bylaw, of the state law. So this, I guess, keeping both seemed to be the easier way of, I guess, trying to think of it.
So a couple of things in G, it says permissible commercial uses, so should there be a list of the commercial uses of the type?
Where's the permissible person? Where's?
Well, where you were,
Oh.
no, where you just had a G, right? Wasn't that a G? And it said, what we were talking about before, it says permissible.
I think we go with what's the mixed use development comprised of a permissible commercial use on the ground floor.
So what's permissible?
What's allowed in the district. So if it's central business district, you would defer to the uses that are allowed within the central business district.
Something that's allowed by the.
Yeah.
Use to.
I mean, you don't really need that language because it's almost self-explanatory, but like say, you're not doing a manufacturing on the first floor.
Right,
and,
right.
But I think that's why I just
Okay.
threw that in there.
So
Okay.
go back to the other one, when we come up with the 30% of commercial, and then what happens to the other 70%? It can't be residential, you stated that in there, right?
It could be utilized as parking. So the 30% is, to be perfectly honest, that's just a number I kind of threw out there. So I'm willing to discuss that.
That's
So
one of my
so-
questions, where does 30% come from?
Well, that, yeah, I had, that when I read it, I had
Yeah.
that down there, and they said,
Well, unless you're
Where and
saying
why?
they
So-
must occupy 30%.
At least.
a minimum
At
of
least.
No, no,
30%.
but actually have someone commercially.
I think it goes
Yeah.
back to,
And that's the other thing, no one's doing that, they're just leaving them empty, yeah.
yeah, they're leaving it empty. We have
Well, this
excessive
doesn't
commercial
prevent them
space.
from having it and leaving it empty.
No, but
True, but right
I was
now,
wondering
yeah.
if this wording was intending to go that direction, though.
So we could remove it, but my only thing is the one, I guess, 5E, 2B1, that language you take from the MBTA district, that's really kind of most of what we have for within the mixed use. And that's a little bit different because some of it has to be, the language is chosen essentially to allow for commercial, but we don't regulate it by its, floor area, similar to what we kind of, to what we do now.
Yeah.
But by putting a requirement in there was trying to state that, I don't want the situation where, all right, well, if we leave it open-ended, do we do like, here's Pat's ATM and then the rest of it's parking? I don't know if that's, an exaggeration,
No.
but you don't want, I wouldn't want something to just be, all right, it's a mixed-use development, here's your 1,000 square foot, commercial space, and then it's all parking underneath, and it's a way to kind of get what you
Yeah,
want.
'cause
So you would
they-
want to hold it to at least having,
The developers love that idea.
yeah,
Undercover parking is gonna boost the price what they can charge for that.
yeah.
Above it, if
And they
they
can
have
have
that.
undercover, they have parking under it now, but they still have to have the, so much commercial to justify the residential,
But
whereas.
the thing is, now, what they can put above is based on how much commercial space they have down below. You're
Yes.
taking that out of it.
Correct, and it's,
And that's, I think that's.
It's based
it
upon
needs to
density
be a
now.
restriction, yeah. I
So-
think we need that restriction to prevent them from just building a high-rise downtown, basically.
we have other things that dictate that though, John. We have a
The
height
height,
requirement, and
yeah.
if we put a density requirement, that caps the amount of units you have based upon the size of your lot, and then your height of the building is capped based on density regulation. I think what I'm concerned with is trying to find a way to put this in there without, I guess, losing commercial space. You know, I don't, the way we have it right now, we're not losing commercial space, we're definitely getting commercial space, but we're getting excessive commercial space. So what's a happy
Yes.
median of allowing for mixed use, but still retaining commercial character?
In general, I like it, and I like the approach. I like that you specifically call out that it can't only be parking, I think that's important.
Yes.
The 30%, do we know, like, the new building, the 931, right on the corner?
Spring and West.
No, right downtown, like, kitty corner from TV
Dunel's
Bank.
building.
Yeah, Dunel's.
Dunel's building.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
would that fit this, 30%?
So is it
He
30%?
has, he has half an acre of what he has, so half an acre of land. He's 2,000 square feet commercial.
Because I know he used part of the commercial on the second floor, just
Yeah,
to,
these
just to,
numbers.
Make the
like,
number
meet
work.
our zoning,
Yeah.
which was kind of silly, but.
Well, that's also why saying like it has to
Right.
be only commercial on the first floor.
Yeah, yeah.
Residential
So
building.
to think next to, and correct me Patrick if I'm wrong, thinking this, so central business you're allowed 45 per acre, so if we take Spring and West,
Mhm.
just because I know the numbers in my head, that's a
Mhm.
95 unit building, commercial all across the bottom floor and a big 2-bay garage, first floor and second floor parking.
Mhm.
If you were to implement this,
Yeah.
you won't be quite at 90 because it's just a hair under 2 acres, so say 87, but you could remove 70% of that commercial and put the parking there, which would probably take a floor off the garage at the back.
Coupled with the other part, the height work changes we made in the fall.
Yeah, we'll take it down, so that would drop that building a full floor, taking the floor off the parking, because I think the commercial is gonna be dead over there, unfortunately.
And that's the biggest kind of concern.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
is
the
it
thing, we
30%,
wanna-
what is the 30% of?
The first floor.
Of the
Of
dwelling,
the-
the
of the
first floor,
building.
not
Ground
the,
floor.
not the,
No, it's the
parcel
building.
or anything.
So instead of you,
So-
say if you've done 1,000 square foot building right now, you could go 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 500.
Yeah.
Because you get 3.5 times it. This is just saying, yeah, you get to, now you're not, don't have to worry about 3.5 times it. Please, I'm speaking out.
Yeah.
Right now it says 45 in central business, so you could be, you get those two in 2 floors maybe, or you could go 3 floors. But you're still locked out in the 4-story height. But then your commercial in the 1,000 square feet on the base, on the ground floor, you could, instead of having 1,000 square feet of empty, you could half it up to 30% of that, so 300 feet could be an office, barber shop, whatever, coffee shop, and the other 700 would be parking inside the building for the tenants.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean, that's kind of,
I think it's reasonable, I just wanna think
put
about
more
that
research
30%.
towards the number. I mean,
Yeah.
that's also, again, that's just something I came up with, so probably
Right.
we
Yeah.
can put more research into
so
what's
it's a
being
minimum,
utilized right now.
minimum, but they can go
Right.
the full
They can go,
100%.
but yeah.
If
minimum.
they've done the studies and they think they can lease it and make money,
Right.
they're gonna do 40 or 50 or
Maybe
whatever they
as a
think is.
minimum, yeah.
I mean, we could take a look at, I mean, it's pretty good. We could look at, I'll look at 1034, 95 West, and even 130, and what is the percentage
Yeah,
mix, right? Or like what is the percentage of the ground floor that's being utilized for commercial right now?
yeah, not counting these,
Not- yeah, not-
you know,
yeah.
resident gym or whatever
Yeah,
things that they're trying to count.
and I don't know.
Yeah, I'd be curious what's there, but I think this is the way to go, like something like this,
30
I like
seems on the
this.
low side, but, yeah.
So it's just the 30%,
Well-
whether that's.
Yeah, I'm not sure about
Yeah.
that. Maybe it's good, I
Yeah.
just wanna see.
No,
more.
yeah, I agree that it's just a number, so we probably need to find some backing for it. But I think that's basically taking it from last time, of all right, if I don't put a number, if I don't try to like enforce a requirement for commercial, do you basically say, yeah, you put commercial as long as it's on the first floor, don't justify the cost? And then is that open for, all right, how can somebody twist this to
Yeah,
get just a
exactly.
multifamily building?
Right, yeah,
Right.
exactly.
The two numbers, the 45 and 20, that's coming out of the MBTA
Yeah.
stuff.
So like the central business district, the MBTA district basically follows the existing boundary of the central business district. So having them be the same at 45, I think is the same
Okay, as
thing.
long as there's some general.
Yeah.
justification for it.
And then the 20 comes from, because we have the central core, which is higher density, and then the outer core, which is lower density. So the outer core is 20, so that's why our business is at 20 dwelling units an acre, which is.
Okay, yeah.
And just, I have one other question. So where it's going, 5B2, so that, in my old book, is the accessory dwelling. Did we move that? So that's like
So that's,
replacing that? or-
that would be part of this. So
Okay.
if you'll see, I have 4
Oh, there you go.
use-specific requirements. We have the whole
Okay,
dwelling frequency in 1 to 3
5B2D.
families.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it, okay.
And again, it's
A,
trying to find, we're gonna have to
B,
mess up the
C, D.
format.
Okay, perfect, okay. I didn't see that, thank you. Yeah, and then we can get rid of this 2.5 times 3.5 and just be consistent across
Yeah.
the town, which would be
Yeah, 'cause
nice.
That's my biggest thing, that 3.5, I've been.
Well, that's-
That gets me, and it's, so are we taking that out, or what are we gonna? leave?
Yes, so I
Because it only applied to this case, basically.
I left it in the handout I gave you only as just a placeholder. So this whole thing, that language is going away,
The whole thing?
the whole thing, and it's being replaced with,
Okay, because I didn't see it shaded for this.
Yeah, well,
yeah, sorry, so you basically, I left it in there, I forgot to put a note or something, so this, I just left it there as a reminder for myself, and I should have taken it out, but basically,
So that
what you
looks
see
like
for
they're at the
G
bottom.
right now in yellow, or I'll highlight it right now on the screen,
Mhm.
this replaces the existing 3.5, 2.5 existing for whatever for mixed use. It basically says you can have this use pursuant to 5B2B, and that's those 5 requirements that we have right about over here.
yeah, we're doing away with the GRS.
Okay, so you just left
Yeah,
that
that'd
in
be
there
doing
so
away
we
with
can
the GR.
compare. You really left it down the bottom here so we can compare, so the G.
Yeah, I just left it there mostly to compare, and I think myself when I was doing
I'm
it.
feeling better now.
And then just a, I don't know if I want to say
Yeah.
up or down on the number, because say, it says like 45 per acre.
Mhm.
So if I have just a hair over, say if I've 0.52 of an acre, do
Yeah.
you round up?
Ooh,
Oh.
good call,
Do you round
yeah.
down?
Density is-
Yeah, I think we either specify particularly an acre or 40,000 square feet, which way is typically treated.
Yeah, because like if you go with an acre is
Say round to the
exactly,
nearest whole number.
43,000.
it's 43,565 is an acre. But if you go to 0.52 of an acre, is it, you're just over half, so you're half a unit? Do you round up or do you round down?
I would go by
I like
that-
always
that's-
got
I go by
I always got
50%.
confused by that. Shouldn't
And I-
you round to the nearest whole number and you go by simple, like anything over 0.5 rounds up,
Up.
anything under 0.5 rounds?
To go to the
I
nearest
would
whole.
think you'd round down.
Over 50%.
You don't have that full
I know
amount.
usually.
Go down,
You
yeah.
could do that, yeah, you could round down to just,
But that's why if
But
it.
but you have the
you're fine if
45
you-
and 20, so it doesn't matter, really. Oh, I see.
45. So if you have 20, say, in the business district, and you come in at 10.7 units, so to Ed's
11,
point,
right,
you go up to 11 on that one. If you're 10.3, you're back down to 10.
Yeah.
So you go to the nearest whole number.
Yeah. And what do you do at 50%?
50%
that's
is
always
usually
up.
you round up.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
usually round up on
Yeah.
that,
We
so.
round up, but.
I could say round down and we could just have fun with it that way. Someone comes in at 0.7, we're like, wow.
Well, you
I like
don't-
what
you
Ed
don't
said,
quite-
round to
you
the
have-
nearest whole number.
Yeah.
You have 1.98 acres, you can't do 2 acres.
50% or lower. 50% of run day goes down, over 50%,
Yeah,
you go up.
that's not usually the general rule anyway.
Yeah.
So-
Because I always have that question, that 50%.
Yeah.
So how is it,
And to your
is it
point,
more than
Sarah,
50% or
Darnell's
50%
Yeah.
and more?
Yeah.
The
And
commercial
above,
is
you know.
2,000 square feet.
In most cases. it
The
should
parking
be
is
more.
3,000 square feet.
Yeah,
So
it's
he's
gonna be more
probably at
designed as.
40.
But
how many
2,000
get back on
includes
level,
also the
yeah.
second
Yeah.
floor,
Whether they
right?
have one
No,
extra.
on the first floor.
I think it's just trying
On
to
the first
find-
floor,
On the-
2,000.
Just trying to find a
Just to say,
number
like,
that
if
is
the
your
patch was to go this
absolute cap,
30% of
whereas
the
the other
building,
restrictions
he's just
come in
over
from
that. Because
the
5,000 is the
size of the
overall
lot,
footprint.
the type of
Okay.
development
He's
he's
got
gonna
the
build,
two-
the amount of
yeah,
parking
he's
he
got
wanna build.
2,000.
Okay.
So percentage
It's
was
always,
So net 30%, I mean,
Okay,
you
so
wouldn't
that's
have to make up
40%.
your mind when you're making the building
basically, yeah.
if you wanted to have parking, right?
Okay, so.
Yeah,
And you would-
30%
that's the thing,
is
so
You can't really do it after the fact, so it'd have to be done
reasonable.
So
ahead of time.
And
yeah.
So
The
the
thing
thing
too
is,
is
I
that
would like to know,
I think they'll get developers to build more,
example
now
on
they
some
can put the
buildings.
parking in the
you know, if you
building.
took a couple of
Because
buildings
that's what,
like from downtown
every
and
big
you
project
said,
downtown we've gone to.
how much
they've
is,
all
how
come
many
from
square
waivers.
feet is the
Yeah.
30%?
And they've been all given
And
waivers,
then
so
what
that's why
type of business
the
could
parking
actually
count, fascinates
be
me, if you
comfortable
won't
with
change
it?
it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
they'll give waivers for it.
They keep
So-
wasting
I think that's why
everyone's
we're gonna
time.
have to
I
look
don't
at the
get
other
that side
buildings.
of it.
I don't know.
Cause,
And
yeah,
I think, because
So,
10,
most
someone's gonna
businesses
come back
maybe
and be
around
smart and stick something
1,000
silly on
feet,
the ground floor,
700
like
square feet or
storage.
But it all
uh,
depends.
I would say a lot
They
of
could do
bigger
storage units
units,
down
I
there,
would say
commercial
like
use.
1,000
It's not
to,
just all those doors. that seem
2,500
like-
square
granted,
feet.
it's a storage space, you get the
Mhm.
storage.
I don't
building on
know.
Route 1, they are the,
like
Fox
Fox Hills,
Hill.
for example, that's
But if you
over
have a nice building
1,000
in town,
square
you like have
feet.
those green doors in the bottom,
So,
Yeah.
you'd be like,
yeah, that is like
no,
a business
but-
size.
I
That's
mean,
a
if you want the
commercial use.
30%, it
Yeah.
gives them the option to find a place for parking
Yeah.
too, you know?
Yeah, I
Well,
mean.
developers are gonna love this idea of putting parking in the.
What?
The developers are gonna love this idea of putting parking on the first floor.
Well, this is
Yeah.
what they
Most
keep
of-
doing anyway.
They do it anyway. It's
Well, we
a
have
limited
one
space.
one
regulated.
right now.
Yeah.
They're coming back, well, they have access now to the lot next to them. The original process was this,
Yeah.
it's gonna have parking underground,
Yeah.
beneath the level.
Yeah.
And they realized, and they're gonna stretch it out, so as part of the underground parking was gonna be underneath the roadway.
Yep.
yeah.
They found out how expensive it was, so now they're making a deal with them, we're gonna rent or get a,
Well, no, they bought the lot.
They bought it,
They
then.
bought it.
well,
so-
it's gonna be, actually it's still owned by them, isn't it? But
No,
they're-
they bought the whole lot. They bought it
They
two
both-
years ago.
Dan explained it a little weirdly.
Which
Yeah.
one is this now? What is it?
Leo's
Yeah.
Pizza.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
originally Leo's
The car
Pizza
wash.
was the lot, and
Yeah.
they contacted, I think it was Phil the Civet under it,
Mhm.
contacted him to do where the old car wash was. They said to demo that, and they want to use that as a staging point, because Leo's lot was tiny. And then Phil said, you want to buy this whole lot, because there's 4 acres back there.
Yeah.
So they bought the whole lot, so he owns the whole lot, so he's just putting, so when they went to build it, there was 12 spots underneath the driveway, which was probably coming in at $1 million of steel to build and everything, and they were like, can we move the parking above ground and put and deed it to this? And because it's one lot now, yeah, they just have to go for a change to the site plan.
Mm.
Okay.
But to Sarah's point, to Sarah's question, she asked about Darnell's building, just to give you some kind of idea. His commercial is 2,000 square feet in the front, and then you have the parking at the back. The footprint is 5,000. So his, to Patrick's numbers at 30%, Darnell's commercial on the front floor is 40% of the footprint of the building. So that's what you're kind of looking at, is that plus the parking at the back. And again, the parking at the back is that plus the road through and to turn around, there's a few other things there.
And that's tough because it's a small lot.
It's a
So
tight-
you're
yeah.
gonna have it be kind of close to that, whereas I feel like
And
it's a larger lot.
It
well, that
feels
whole-
okay, like it feels about right.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's about placing a minimum, because I feel like when using the MBTA district as just kind of a, a point of going back to,
Mhm.
they don't place a minimum on the mixed use, they only say, it just needs to be on the first floor, or it needs to be basically, facing a public way.
Mhm.
How much ever you put, it's whatever works for you.
Right,
Whereas I
yeah.
feel like I don't want to leave a loophole where someone does, hey, here's, a giant building and here's a 1,000 square foot barber shop. Like that's,
Can we fix the MBTA also?
no. So a lot of that because it's the whole restricting of
Yeah.
the residential space.
Okay.
I had that question brought up and then I ended up talking to Judy Barrett,
Mm.
so.
so she has to come before us still.
It was another thing she was involved with, but
Good luck.
for what it was.
No, we don't want to do business with you until you fulfill your obligations.
Yeah.
We'll pay you once you come in for the
Well,
planning board here.
so everything else within just to kind of, it's the tough part about going through this, I feel like we never have enough time. Everything else, mostly, like I said, has been brought to the accessory. Everything kind of moves up from what's there, especially for the whole age-restricted developments. Business, Just my general recommendation, again, this doesn't change or add anything, I just thought changing it from, 5B1 for business to 5B1 for commercial. That's just,
Yeah,
fine.
fine. Good idea.
What's highlighted here to kind of go through, like some of the language, oh, wait a minute, so retail sales, greater than 10,000 but less than 20,000, I highlighted within the CBD as we're making that to allowed by right. That was a special permit before, we discussed that in the last meeting, so I'm assuming no questions, thoughts on that.
Sorry, where are you again?
4B.
On the tape? the
Yeah,
table?
sorry, yeah, the first, 4B, so retail sales and services greater than or equal to 10,000 but less than 20,000 square feet. I have, under the central business district, we discussed making that from a special permit to by right, so I just highlighted that to,
Yep.
show where a change was.
Mhm.
Some of the, again, they had some uses go to accessory, which we'll go over when we get there, which is why you see the whole showroom for building supplies, sale room, all that language gets moved up. Medical or dental laboratories, I highlighted that only because they were lowercase before, I capitalized them, because that's a term we actually have defined in our zoning, so I think that's where that language
Yeah,
comes
makes
from,
sense,
it's
yeah.
not, restaurant, I removed the, what do we have there? The, subject to the condition that no live entertainment is regularly furnished.
Okay.
Because we couldn't define what is regular, what are we talking about here? So just highlighted that.
So, okay,
Go
all
ahead.
right, go ahead, no, go.
So what's new, so personal consumer services, professional service establishment are two terms that I basically heard, this is
We
kind
have a
of.
definition for those?
Adding
Okay, 'cause
definitions
I
to
had that
those.
question too.
Yep, so those I took because we have, where am I, sorry. Actually, all of them kind of trade up, but basically, office, so if you look at the existing zoning, it's, 4I, the whole office of a doctor, dentist, optician, and yada, yada, yada. And then we have any of the following services such as a barber, beauty shop, laundry. Essentially, personal or consumer services are, I'll go to the definition so we can make it easier. So, we have what's called, I highlighted, this is what we are, a similar definition, we have repair service establishment. The personal or consumer services I took really from Westwood. So an establishment primarily engaged in providing services involved in the care of a person or their apparel or household possessions such as barber, a beauty shop, tanning bed, laundry, or dry cleaning, repair services. I'll let you read it for yourself, but that's just kind of a somewhat changed definition of what we have for repair service establishment.
So what about like a CPA or accountant or something like that?
That would be a professional service establishment.
Okay,
So we have business or professional office, which is fine, but a professional service establishment is kind of like, the existing language we have just goes over all the examples rather than just summarize it into a term. So finding a way to do that, I guess it comes up to trying to be.
Just
yeah.
to clarify, the indented
The indented was.
is our existing, and that's what
Yeah.
you're replacing it with?
Yeah,
Yes, okay.
replacing with, or some of them I might just add hours, or add a new term.
Okay,
So it's similar to what would be in the table of use.
okay.
As the use table itself,
So the use table itself isn't
Definition.
changing. So,
it's the description.
just the description's changing to be simplified. And like, I think I have, so under the existing zoning, K, business or professional office or agency, bank or other financial institution, underneath professional service establishment, I just put bank or other financial institution. I don't think we need to business professional officer agency, because business professional officer agency is also professional service establishment. I kept the language for the whole printing and carpentry shop, but I just changed the language to be a building trade shop, and then we define what building trade shop is, rather than go over a shop of a builder, carpenter, cabinet maker, caterer, electrician, painter, but that's, so I did that, and this is, I guess, a point of conversation. I took the other language that was in warehouse or wholesale, and I added that to commercial. The reason being, well, for one thing, the use has not changed. I mean, not the use changed, the allowed uses or special permit requirements have not changed, it's just the location of it, which I'm fine having a conversation with. I think we talked about this before. My only thing with it is, I like them next to each other only because you don't have to refer back to the other one, and if the uses are still, if you're allowed building trade shop over 5,000 square feet in the industrial district, the location of it to me doesn't matter. Only because it's the use is still the same, the allowed use is the same, so having it next to the other, allowed in building trade shop under 5,000 square feet, you just don't have to go flip back and forth between them. I don't know if anyone has any. No, is that okay, Jim?
No.
I know we talked about that before, because we're trying to discern, all right, well, this is wholesale, so that's why it's a wholesale.
Do we have any definitions as to what's gonna fit under a building trade shop?
Yep, let me just,
I see.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right there, top.
yep, building trade shop. And again, this is just one definition, I can look into other definitions. Yeah. Kind of general. The only one that kind of, the part thereof is that, I don't know. Yeah. Same thing with printing, I kept that the same. It was in a few other towns nearby. I think there was a reason they put that in there, probably just the way zoning was. And we don't lose anything, we don't add anything, but rather than rock the boat, it
It's
just
a
kept
dying
it.
industry or something.
Very much so, but,
Maybe in
there are.
20 years when we do this again, we'll take it out.
Everything's now done.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it doesn't hurt anything, it doesn't do anything, but,
You just don't want someone running a big press next to your house.
yeah. So big change was indoor commercial recreation. So take our existing bylaws, print to the page where turn to the page where we go over the whole, any of the following uses if located in a district less than 1,000 square feet or more than 1,000, I guess linear feet.
Vineyard, yeah.
I go back to just, I don't see a lot of this elsewhere, and again, that doesn't mean it doesn't exist elsewhere, it's just, just looking at nearby towns and just, I don't see anything defined like this. Which is why I just broke it up, both P and Q, the existing P and Q, and took the, outdoor dining, drive-in, and the regular furnishing of live entertainment, and moved them to accessory uses, and then theater, bowling alley, dance hall, or indoor amusement, I just labeled it as indoor commercial recreation, and then
So-
defined it.
You'd be saying like McDonald's would fit into this category then? Like,
McDonald's is a restaurant.
what's the difference between a restaurant and a stand then?
What are we talking about? You're talking about the
What-
indoor
Because
commercial
it's a drive-
recreation.
Drive-through, or what do you mean?
The drive-through is an accessory use to the restaurant,
True.
so they would need a special, we'll talk about that in a bit, but that would be where that would go. Indoor commercial recreation is, I guess, a new term I'm adding, but it's taking the place of theater, bowling alley, dance hall, and other indoor amusement. And it's removing the whole confusing language of the 1,000 feet, less
Yeah.
than 1,000, greater than 1,000,
Yeah.
which, you know, because it's keeping the whole, is keeping it still as basically allowed within HB, LM, and industrial, but special permit within business and central business, which is similar to, I think, what we had for all of them, really. Oh. Actually, sorry, it's kind of, I think I kind of combined that, actually. So if you looked at the existing bylaw, anything over 1,000 square feet, you know, is allowed, I keep on saying square feet, 1,000 feet of frontage or 1,000 feet of street space is allowed by right in, if it's under, is allowed by right in all districts, is over, is special permit in all districts and not allowed in industrial. I don't know why a theater isn't allowed in industrial.
None
I
of them
mean,
allow residential.
yeah, none of them are allowed in residential, but
Sticking industrial would be.
sticking industrial, like allowing it to be by right in industrial, it kind of combines what the existing language is. So the whole special permit for business and central business, we can talk about that, but these are also situations where we're talking, let me just go to that definition, which I picked out. All right, commercial recreation indoors. Try it on the screen. So I'm hesitant to keep, I almost want to just allow that by right everywhere.
Which
But
one?
The
Indoor.
commercial recreation indoors, in terms of all our commercial districts.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, I don't particularly have a problem with a use like that in the central business district or business district. I don't know if that's something that would come up, but right now I have them as a special permit because I tried to combine them. But I don't know what everyone's thoughts are on that.
Yeah, the indoor commercial, I wouldn't see a problem allowing them, in, especially in LM and the highway business district industrial,
Yeah.
allowing them as right. That'd be fine.
With the,
Yep.
the noise, like associated with a theater or a bowling
And
alley?
parking.
That's why
Basketball
I
court.
had them as special permits, but
Yeah.
it's also, it's odd because our existing language, basically if you had at least
allowed
1,000 feet
anywhere.
on a road, it was allowed by a right, which would never happen in the central business or business district because there's
Yeah.
just not enough space. So it always would be a special permit.
Yeah,
So that's part of the reasoning of why I carried forward allowing it, or keeping it as a special permit.
yeah,
when we
I mean,
combined them.
some of them I could see allowing by right, but then other ones, I would think, yeah, it makes
Yeah,
sense.
some
Yeah.
Like a
loud.
theater with like loud music, or like, you know, like the loud, or the
Yeah.
bowling pins
Well,
knocking down every.
yeah, in some
Pickleball,
business,
everybody's complaining
a
about
lot of these
pickleball
things
noise,
require a
right?
lot of parking, and there isn't,
Yeah.
there isn't any parking in downtown.
The only thing I can think of, like, is sometimes you see, and I don't know if this is ever gonna happen, but sometimes you see like a restaurant or bar that has like an arcade attached to it or something.
Yeah,
Does that mean they get,
Yeah, what was that
the
one
restaurant's
that used to
allowed,
be
they need a
over
special
in,
permit for that
Easton
recreational
or
use?
something.
I don't know.
yeah.
Ooh, low battery.
Yeah, I don't like to overuse the special permit, but I think where you have like residential above
Yeah.
potentially, I think that's important.
Or even immediately next door if you're in like.
Yeah,
a-
or yeah, like a mixed use, like you
Yeah.
just have
Yeah.
like an apartment
So
building.
he goes to work early, doesn't
Yeah.
work, it's falling, it's just trying to sleep.
Yeah,
So,
but out in LM, highway business, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, something
Okay.
outside of town, yeah.
so I'll leave that, I
Yeah.
guess, as it is. Outdoor commercial recreation, I forgot why this as this. Oh, I'm sorry. This is taking, if you go back to our existing zoning, our outdoor commercial amusement. So the uses, here as a special permit within CBD, not allowed in the business, allowed everywhere else. That's just changing the term and then keeping the same language of what's allowed for outdoor commercial recreation. Most of these changes are the same. The commercial kennel we had talked about at the previous meeting, kept that as is. So automobile service station, so that term, as well as automobile repair garage and auto body facility. Why I have those broken up is because we actually define those terms in our zoning, but we kind of combine things with, it would be DD. So in the 5B1 for DD is auto body repair establishment. It's a special permit within highway business, LM industrial. We've had situations where someone, if you're doing actual auto body or if you're a repair shop, fall under the same requirement, which automobile repair garage. I don't see a problem with allowing it by right in the highway business, LM or industrial, and then making it a special permit within business and central business district, and then auto body facility would take, basically, it'd be a special permit within those 3 districts, highway business, industrial, and LM. But that's basically taking the requirements for what is DD right now, auto body repair establishment. So basically, I'm trying to break those up of what is just a general mechanic shop and then what is an auto body repair shop. And the terminology, we already have it defined, we just don't actually have it in our use table, so.
I mean, they're kind of different trades altogether.
That's
I mean,
yeah.
they have the paint spray booth and a lot of grinding and.
Which is much more intensive than just general repair shop.
More heavy equipment, I think, with the auto body, like,
Plus you-
you know.
I just feel like you have at least what I've seen, like auto body repair, like I feel like you usually have a lot of storage, sometimes it fluctuates, so you do have a lot of cars backed up, so
Yeah.
that parking is kind of not a traditional parking lot.
No.
So you're saying that's based on our existing
Yes,
definitions?
so our definitions, it's page 104 on our bylaws. We have an auto body facility, an auto body repair garage, and automobile service station. So all 3 terms broken up.
Okay.
Another addition is contractor's yard. This, my thought here really is landscaping as well as general, well, I guess storage yards for a contractor. We have some language that exists for like a, outdoor storage, it's kind of vague. This is trying to define it as a use, and so this is the term I have. Building contractors for storage of equipment, as well as fabrication, reassemblies, and parking of wheeled equipment. It's maybe more of a question for Jim, but I mean, Ed too, like what?
Well, the other thing I'm thinking about the contractors yet, I'm wondering if, especially with the special permit, if there should be some screening of, outdoor storage.
Yeah.
And maybe the vehicles, because I give you, for instance, Pleasant Street right across from FM
Yep.
roadway there, it's the Waterworks place.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I drive by there, I said, why didn't no one make them screen the fencing around there, so you
Yeah.
can see the display of all of that. It's right next to the hot top plant down there. They have all the big waterworks,
The pipes.
fittings and pipe and stuff.
Okay.
Oh,
And
yeah.
and I'm thinking that,
Wasn't our requirement.
it's kind of like an eyesore, and, I mean, it's organized there, but it still
So
looks
that-
like junk,
I added.
And I think stuff like that should be screened somewhat, at least from passerbys or whatever,
So this has, I added footnote 4 under this.
Okay.
So a footnote for the first two.
Must be completely screened from view at low eye level for any street or other purposes.
Gonna get
Family after Thanksgiving.
Jeez.
Must be completely screened from view at normal eye level from any street or any premises.
And I took that language from what we had in wholesale for.
So, I mean, even if they had.
For outdoor storage.
What's that?
That language I took from, man. That didn't make
Do you want
it
to
up.
talk about contractors yet?
Mm-hmm. On screening them.
Yeah.
Screening it and kind of hiding it, I mean,
Oh,
'cause some of them are.
Oh, some of the like bomb blew up
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think though, like,
You know.
some of these landscaping things, I wouldn't necessarily wanna live next door to a huge pile of mulch, because no matter what it is, it's gonna give an odor off.
Yeah, but, so as far as the screen, that could be the chain link fence with the,
The
the
mesh
slat,
in
yeah,
it, or the
the slats in it. or
plastic
whatever.
slat in
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
or canvas across it.
I mean, if you could peek through, it's not too bad, but you don't wanna just see the whole thing when you're driving by, you know?
That's fairly recently that they've screened it off, isn't it?
What's
It
that?
did used to be all screened off.
No.
So-
More recently.
Screening comes from where we're doing it on Sunset.
Yeah, so
Which
that.
is in,
We have it defined in there.
site. Do we have, is it on the site plan, that's, no.
The use?
No, it was under,
I thought it was wholesale, that's why I'm like, I know I took that language from somewhere.
enclosure of use, we take it out, no, I didn't take it out there.
Oh, open, so under wholesale, 5D,
D.
open or outside storage of materials, supplies, equipment, manufactured products in the storage yard, completely screened from view at normal eye level from any street or premises. That's where that language comes from, so I basically threw it as contractor's yard, defined it, and Jim, I don't know if you want to see that definition.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I was going to ask, does that include like, say, landscape
I
or something?
probably need to better include landscape.
Contractor's yard.
Should I do by building the landscape?
So the contractor's yard would include an excavating company, right?
Yeah,
Or would it include a landscape?
yeah, because that's the one thing I
I don't think that
know.
definition would cover
Yeah,
landscape.
because that's one things I had in my notes is, we don't really have landscaper defined in our zoning.
And that's a much bigger business.
Because the only part mention we have it is if you do, you need a special permit if you want to do it beside, in your house, on your own lot, it's a special permit. But in business or wholesale, technically we've no,
So Jim,
it just falls under regular use.
would you classify a landscaper as a contractor? Contractor, no.
Yeah,
So if I just had premises used by a building or landscape contractor,
yeah,
there you
Yeah.
go. Alright,
yeah.
so there we
that'll
go,
work.
so there, that's.
Like we have a few in different areas that have gone in under basic business use.
So that's where the contractor's yard language comes from, is adding that. And that's allowed by right in highway, LM industrial, but special permit in business and central business district. I would almost actually remove that
I would
from
actually
central business.
ban them from.
Yeah.
Both,
Yeah.
or,
I'd go,
Business.
business I'd leave special permit,
Yeah.
central business I'd get rid of it, wouldn't be as allowed.
got it,
Do you,
makes sense.
For the
I
contractors.
think you
Yeah.
did that
Yeah.
backwards.
Did I? Oh, thanks, John. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, that'd be clean.
Alright. Moving on. So I know it's 8:30 right now, I've been here for 2 hours. I know we got more to go through, so let's make sure everyone's good.
Somebody wife said
I-
today, well, how late are you gonna be tonight? I said,
I'm aware.
well, you know, we're just reviewing all of the changes, but I thought last time,
They're
so I'm
just
not
doing the
saying
most
anything.
complicated section of
Yeah,
it.
I said I'm not saying anything.
That's why I'm very like overwhelmed with this section in federal. 'Cause it's like, there's some things here, like, they would just be its own amendment, and we're doing it for so basically, the language, the additional language we added to business is recreational marijuana establishments prohibiting. So that was asked by town council, as we have the whole medical marijuana defined as only a special permit within industrial. And even though we prohibit recreational, we should note it in the table of use. So that's the last one under business or commercial.
So on that, I'm confused though, because what happened with the law, and then we had an application come to Walpole for marijuana something or other.
Yeah, Gupti brought in for recreational marijuana, he wanted to change, because we don't allow recreational marijuana. We allow medical, that's all we
You
allow.
want to change the bylaw.
He wanted to change the bylaw to allow recreational as well. Because he looked at the Zen Leaf that's on Route 1,
Yeah,
that thing's pulling in 6 million plus a year. So
okay,
he wanted some of that.
Who did? Jim?
okay.
Something
So he
with
was,
that?
A gentleman called Gupti.
he was asking to change
he wanted
our
to
bylaw
to
to
allow-
allow
Yeah, and
recreational.
what I think what that mix-up was,
Okay,
so the way marijuana worked was, and you probably, this is before I got here,
Yeah.
you remember better than me.
yeah,
In 2012, medical marijuana got brought in.
right,
It was allowed as a right anywhere in the state.
yeah,
In 2017, they brought in recreational,
right.
which you could
Walpole
vote on.
said no,
That you could vote yes or no to it.
yeah,
The difference between that was after recreational, there was a sunset clause after, so that's why we went
Right.
to town meeting.
right,
After 2 years, there was a sunset clause that now it just goes, or sorry, that was a vote, my apologies. So when you denied it the first time,
Yeah.
there was a vote across the town, it was done as a vote, everybody was involved.
right,
There was a 2-year sunset clause through the state
right,
that now it can be changed at town meeting, you don't need the full town to vote on it.
okay.
I see.
And Walpole said,
So Gupti came
No.
back, so when it was a town vote where
Yeah.
everybody voted on it, and
Yeah.
every town did across Mass voted no
Yeah.
on recreational.
yeah,
Then Gupti was bringing it back and people were saying, oh, he needs to go for a full vote again, which he did not.
yeah,
After the 2-year sunset clause, it was the same as changing zoning, you just changed the zoning, it was town meeting voted on it,
Mhm.
it wasn't a full town vote.
yeah,
He was coming ahead and going ahead with it because he had other stores, I think out in Blackstone or Black Rock.
Blackstone.
Blackstone, thank you.
yeah,
He had a store out there and he some developers with him. And he
okay,
was looking to bring it, not to bring it in, but he was trying to put it in certain areas, so he was trying to decide where to go.
right,
And he got the article ready and he withdrew it at the last minute.
right. He withdrew it from FinCom while they
FinCom,
were
yeah.
discussing it, okay.
And then he went to rewrite it because there was some questions, because I think he had put it in business, if I remember correctly, Patrick. We
Yeah, we
recommended
told him
not
not
to
to.
do that. That's a, leave it to industrial and limited manufacturing, the two best areas.
Yeah.
And
Really
he
should go
withdrew
in
it
the
to
fun
re-
zone.
Hmm?
It should go in the fun zone.
That's the fun zone.
Combat zone.
Oh, the combat zone.
This is my made up zoning.
No, your zone.
That is for
Yeah,
all
You just
those
wanna
things.
put it all in Walpole.
Yeah.
It's
I
almost
don't know.
like, it's almost like Sharon, they seem to put everything they don't
Right
want,
next to
right on the
Walpole.
Walpole line.
Yeah.
You put it on
That's the way to
Independence
go.
of my parents and Musket and Freedom.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
fun zone.
Yeah.
Um,
So he did come forward, but then for some reason I haven't heard from him since. He just decided to not
he
keep
went
moving.
somewhere else.
He
or
probably went
who
somewhere
knows.
else or got some. Because
Okay.
again, it was
So
a
as
good
of today, it's prohibited in Walpole.
Yes.
recreational is
Recreational.
not
No ma-
the only
no
way you
matter
can
what.
change it, no matter what. The only way you can change it is the zoning article.
Okay. Okay.
He was looking like, say, on the Route 1 corridor beside us in Norwood, because I don't believe Norwood
No,
Norwood
it
does not
doesn't
have
have
it.
any.
Denham doesn't have it. Only West Roxbury has it. So you have all that section. Westwood doesn't have it.
It moves them closer to Boston.
Yeah. So he has that huge potential.
Medway has it,
Medway just has it. Plainville got it. So that side of town has been pumping them out.
Does Medfield has one?
right? I don't know.
I-
I know
Millis
there's
don't
one in
believe, no.
Medway. 'cause
Millis
it's near
does,
my-
Medway does.
relatives.
Plainville just
I
opened a
drive
new
by
one,
it all the
if not
time.
two. Not Attleboro has one.
Yeah, I think
Right
it's
there.
Didn't I read an
Attleboro or
article
North
not too
Attleboro
long
or
ago
something.
that a lot of them are struggling, that have closed, that they haven't?
So what happened was
Oversaturated.
a lot over. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I almost said that word, but thank you. Yeah, they got oversaturated in a lot of towns because, again, the potential was there and there was good money. So just give an example, when Brookline opened their one store the first time, that store in the first year done more revenue than the entire state of Massachusetts. Because that store was placed perfectly between two tea stations, bus stops, and in the centre it was, and they went from medical, that was medical, and then they changed the bank into the, right next door into recreational, and that thing
And they
is,
already had the setup and the business. and-
yeah, I believe Brookline gets 7 million in taxes every year off of all the marijuana in Brookline.
Okay,
That's 30%, so you get 3% in taxes. I think they're pulling in between 27 to 30 million a year.
I don't think I have an issue with the stores, but not the cafes, and
That hasn't come true yet, yeah, that's still, yeah,
I'm against that. They just voted approval for that, didn't they,
Yeah.
legislature?
yeah, they're going for that. But it's all cash, which is,
But they might
Either
have,
way, we're
Sorry-
not
sorry
changing
for
anything
that.
there, we're
Okay,
just
okay.
defining it and putting it in there.
you have to
Okay.
leave town for your
Yeah.
weed.
Okay.
So, in industrial,
how about A across the board?
So in industrial, basically from here, there's let's see.
So,
There's a lot that basically I've tried to combine, in terms of the terminology, so, what am I saying?
So just a quick question on the recreational.
Yeah,
So may I just ask why we're putting it in?
she said we don't, I don't know,
Just to cover?
just to cover.
If you don't have it down there, you're not.
People ask questions,
Yeah.
answer.
All right, no, I was just wondering, because I know
Yeah.
if you don't have it in there, it's not allowed.
No, I mean, it's still covered, I mean, but I think it's just to be clear.
Clear.
Yeah. All right, so in here, starting from the top, truck terminal or motor freight station, I have X highlighted in highway business district, because I think that was something we brought up last time as making allowed there. I don't have a problem making it allowed there, I'm not sure what the reasoning was to begin with, but I did highlight that for whatever reason. So are we okay having that as basically as a special permit or allowed use for a truck terminal or a motor freight station? I don't know how often that's coming in, but if for whatever reason it was not allowed in the highway business district, which is where you would think that use would be.
Yeah,
but-
exactly.
It would seem like that's where it should
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
I'd rather keep it on the
Strange.
outskirts of the town than allow it coming into the
Yeah,
town.
so I can make that as,
Oh, yeah.
Special
am I by a special permit?
All right, which one?
Yeah, and right now it's not allowed, so
Go special permit.
just special
Do one
permit.
step up.
Better there than BLM.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Warehouse, wholesale, or distribution facility without outdoor storage, and warehouse, wholesale, or distribution facility with outdoor storage. So we have currently C, so 5C says warehouse for the covered storage of materials, supplies, equipment, manufactured products, or whether or not produced on the premises. I just broke it down to with or without outdoor storage, and then I had the footnote 4, which basically says for outdoor storage, it needs to be covered, screened in from all. And then I added the definitions, which, they bounce around, but I had 2 definitions for a warehouse. I don't know if it really matters, but, building or plan for storage or distribution of all items excluding paint and alcohol beverages, I don't know where that came from. I'm fine removing that, or probably just,
I go with the second one.
yeah,
Yeah.
all right. That answers that question.
So,
So I had 2 definitions, but now I think option 2 makes the most sense because it's kind of just general. It has the language in there about shall not include a self-storage or mini storage facility. Again, I think this comes from Westwood, but I also thought we don't actually have that use defined, so I thought about adding that as well and then defining the use.
Yeah.
So, fine deleting that. Is everyone where I'm at?
Yep. Yeah, I think 2's good for it.
okay, so, what about a place like Pods?
So the pods themselves,
Well, they store a lot of them outside.
yeah. So that's what, so the outdoor warehouse one would be, it has to be screened if you're storing anything outside
Yeah. So that's,
Pods has them piled about 4 high.
on University Ave.
Yeah,
sorry. So, that's why I broke it up into two, essentially.
Yeah.
One without outdoor storage, allowed by right. With outdoor storage, also allowed by right within highway business and industrial, but the footnote that it needs to be screened in. And then I added underneath that, mini storage, self-storage facility, special permit within central business district and business, allowed right within the other three. Again, because we don't define that right now, so. I know we have one in town, well, I think we have more. We only got the one, I think.
Two.
We do have two?
We've one on Fox Hill,
Oh,
and then
yeah.
we have one on Renbar.
Yep.
What's that, the
Storage.
Storage in Walmart, right?
Yeah,
It's
Walmart, yes,
accessory.
right in front of Walmart.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, that's true, yeah.
Alright.
So, self-storage mini, but that's all indoor, right?
Self-storage and mini storage?
Yeah.
Indoor,
Yeah,
outdoor.
within the building.
Should that be
Well, let's go to
included in
What I
that
got.
if we had indoor?
facility constructed and configured to allow access to individuals who rent, lease, or otherwise utilize individually self-contained subunits of the structure for the storage of personal, company, or corporate possessions.
These are all internal
Um,
buildings.
It doesn't say internal or
Yeah, it doesn't
external
say
though.
building.
It doesn't say, but say individual self-contained subunits of a structure for storage.
Cause that could be open lots.
It'd
for
be like
each
a garage
person's
door,
use.
like I'm thinking like a, you know, you access it from the outside directly, you don't.
Well,
have to
yeah,
go
the
to
self-storage,
building.
yeah, but they all have like that one
Yeah, it's not outside, like the goods are all contained.
in the
within
building,
Right,
yeah.
It's
right.
just somewhere within the building you walk
The
into.
term
somewhere.
structures doesn't imply that,
No.
cause that, a structure could be an outdoor unit also. So I think it needs to be buildings rather than structure.
Subunits of a building for storage.
Yeah.
Instead of structure, change that to building.
I think that would be more applicable.
So I've seen a number of these places that have had recreational vehicles or campers that are parked
On them, yeah.
in lots of
Really?
sites, so that,
Well, that would be different if that was the case, but I'm not familiar with any situations like that.
Well, yes, when you're thinking of like, if it's a, you know, alright, lack of a better term, if it's a building and they
Yeah.
each have individual garage doors,
Right.
you can define that as a
Right.
building or as a
Building, yeah,
structure.
that'd be a building.
Okay.
Because a building is contained, whereas a structure is the framework necessarily, not necessarily.
Okay,
Every building's a structure, but every structure is a building.
Yeah.
alright. And now. Oh God, I keep on forgetting the accessory uses. The other, so outdoor, open or outdoor storage for materials, supplies, equipment, and manufacturing goods in a storage yard. Again, that's as a principal use, not not an accessory use. I have the footnote 4, which is basically the existing language that's there. Plan for the bulk storage of petroleum products, natural gas. This is, I think, what we mentioned before when we talked about the whole coal elevator slash that storage facility. This kind of covers what we're talking about if you have, you know, this big propane tanks as principal use, that allows a special permit. That keeps it the same.
Does A4 mention need to be capitalized?
Where?
A4.
Oh, that's,
The capital A in the second line?
The aforementioned.
Oh,
Yeah, that's it.
yeah,
Good eyesight.
very good. Spot that out. Alright. The other two, those are, actually the other three are all existing. You know, power laundry, I think, is like calling that out as a separate thing. That's a kind of a little bit more, you know, the chemicals that get used in that. Brewery, we have the footnote about needing a restaurant, it's in the central business district. Research and development, which we have language in there, are existing for at 5M, research, experimental, or testing laboratory other than accessory or permitted use. So that I'm defining, also allowing it by right in LM. Right now, we have it as a special permit. I don't know if that's okay. And then limited manufacturing and manufacturing. This is, so all the very explanatory uses are all allowed by right in highway business, LM, and industrial. So there's no deviation, like in terms of, all right, well, you know, manufacturing electrical or electrical devices, or plan for light metal or plastic fabrication, like all those are still allowed, so there's no, it's not like there's one use of all these very, you know, defined uses that's a special permit. So in order to consolidate that, I do those two terms, and then I have options for, I guess, manufacturing and limited manufacturing. Which, again, I had two options for manufacturing. The first one, Westwood had it, Norwood had it, and I feel like they must have did that decades and decades ago. I'm not sure if that's, I'll just read it. So again, that's very, we could just, we can summarize.
No, I just don't even know what it is.
You gotta make glue.
Manufacture or storage of explosives in bulk quantities.
I don't want that.
Fertilizer, that's also like combustible, is it not? Like,
Yeah.
Fertilizer manufacturing,
I feel like that should require some additional review.
The thing is, it doesn't under existing zoning.
Really?
How you would have it right now, I mean, it would fit into somewhere here and it'd be allowed by right in the industrial. But, again, that's why I put the two options. The other one I think is a little bit more general.
Yeah, I like the first one better.
You like the first one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't wanna limit, storage of mass quantities of explosives?
Well,
no, it's saying,
Or, it doesn't say
but
mass quantities.
excluding the following. Line 3, the end of line 3, but excluding the following. So it's saying you can't do any of the next things after that.
Oh, it does.
yeah.
The end of
Yeah,
line
yeah,
3.
sales, distribution,
Oh, okay,
excluding
okay.
the following:
Okay,
acid
good,
manufacturing, cement.
Okay, yeah, I like that one.
So it's saying stuff we definitely don't want.
Okay. Yeah, that's a better. there you go.
Processing of sauerkraut.
Okay, against hair manufacturing, some people need
No.
hair. Right?
Then you can't make it.
So I don't know if this is a little problematic, so but excluding the following, so bituminous concrete or asphalt manufacturing, is that problematic? With, cause do we already allow
Well, you need quite a large region for it, but Norwood has, what?
that? So they had to change their zoning, that was a whole big thing, where they had the one on Pleasant Street, and that basically it was allowed or pre-existing use, and then they had to change the
Yeah, so
zoning
they can't-
specifically to call out that you couldn't do asphalt. But I think they left the same definition for
It's not
manufacturing.
asphalt, they call it,
Oh,
bituminous concrete,
Bituminous.
what is the word, concrete, it's,
yeah, basically you're
Yeah.
making pavement.
some of them, it's quite an odor a lot of times,
What was it?
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
smell that coming to work every day.
yeah.
Like I-
But I don't know if it's the trucks a lot of time that
Well,
keeps
it's not
going
the
in and out,
shops
that
so
the odor's
often.
coming.
Yeah, it's
the
coming
truck.
from them. There is a lot from the, but again, something like that is done by the DEP and the EPA.
So do we
Yeah.
have, so our existing definition for manufacturing, I know this has kind of come up with some, well, at least in one case as a problem. Heavy or light industry, manufacturing, assembly of a product, including processing, fabrication, assembly, treatment, packaging, and allowed accessory uses is very, 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 very vague.
Oh, it's very
Very
open-ended.
open-ended. And
That is
so,
easily beaten.
whereas option one,
Yeah.
you know, we have
Spells
other
out
towns
a lot of the things we
nearby that
don't
already
want.
employ something like this.
Yeah.
And, but do we have existing businesses that we
That's not
impacted
going
from
through my
this?
head, so-
Right, like
Um,
thinking of like,
What does
Rolls-Royce
Russo?
So Rolls Royce are on their manufacturing, but their 9% of their stuff is lathes, computers,
yeah,
and the rest
prop
is
forge hammers.
no.
Okay.
That's heavy.
They've huge, they did a bit of an allowed seeing in there.
Okay.
Majority of there is done through millings on brass.
Mhm.
They don't do drop forge. They have monstrous cranes in there, alright. Their new addition put in like 4 35-ton cranes. They had a second building on Remember, they moved out of that. Yeah, their stuff is all brought in and put together and then
Oh,
What
huge
about
lathe.
blast furnace? Or is it?
Yeah, like option one.
Burners, I don't believe we have any of that. I'm trying to think, like the only real plant we have is the cement,
yeah, I like the first.
LaRusso's,
That's where yeah.
but that they create the concrete.
But don't they do asphalt too?
No, everybody goes to Norwood.
Oh, good. So we should make this
Yeah.
change now.
No, there's not in. Yeah, besides the Russo's plant, that's the only genuine plant in town that. I hope that's the only one I know of. It's terrible if I haven't spotted another one.
Would this affect LaRusso?
That's what we're just wondering. I don't
Wouldn't
know.
affect any of his stuff.
No. Because he's a
doesn't do any of
gravelier
that?
and he mixes the cement there. He makes cement, all right.
He makes cement?
Does he make no? He makes.
Cement's included.
No, he
on
doesn't.
this.
Yeah, cement's included in the
Does he
not
make
allowed.
I don't think so.
What is
No,
the
he just does
problem with
gravel.
him manufacturing?
Gravel,
He makes it
sand.
ready for and then takes it.
We got sauerkraut on there and vinegar.
I know. Okay,
Actually, we could check with
Vinegar.
Jack, Jack would probably have a
Yeast.
better idea on that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, because if that's the case, we'll just whip that one out and everything else could stay. But I don't believe he does.
Yeah, run those ones by Jack.
Yeah.
Jack could
In
tell
terms
you
of the tone.
what Russo's does.
Yeah, because 90% of his work leaves like at 4 o'clock in the morning, so I have no idea what's.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's a tough thing because I know that came up in Norwood where it's like, you know, there's a need for asphalt, especially because you have to have the heat a certain, you know, you
Yeah,
can't just
keep it
make
on
asphalt, you have to have it
temperature.
made and
Insane heat,
brought.
yeah.
So you can't just be like, we want to prohibit it out everywhere because then you're never gonna have any
Yeah.
asphalt.
I
It
mean,
is a need, but
I'd much rather have asphalt than like slaughter of animals or
so
explosives.
so
in
if we
large
remove some of the
quantities.
bituminous concrete and asphalt, that's probably not good.
Can't make dynamite in Walpole?
I wish.
Oh, is that in
If you have done it,
Yeah, the processing of sauerkraut is the one that gets me. Like, when does that get in?
there? Manufacturer or storage.
So what, excuse me, but what is offal?
Animal
Dead bodies.
innards.
Dead bodies.
Yeah. If you want to
This is
process some
slaughter.
chicken livers.
Huh?
this is, you take your
Yeah.
cow, if your cow dies on your land, you take it there and they gut
The
it,
internal organs.
recycle every inch of it,
Yeah.
basically.
It's a delicacy in other countries.
Sometimes.
Well, that's what Zimbel's,
We
the
don't want to
Space
make
Center.
you
I mean, not the Space Center, but, what do they call it, you know, Zimbel's down the Endicott Street? That was the biggest, slaughterhouse, what's the word they call it?
Oh, you're talking
Where the
about?
fallout shelter is.
Yeah,
and,
Winsmith Mill.
Huh?
Right? Isn't it Winsmith Mill?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
What,
yeah.
that place up in Route One?
I thought that was a tannery.
Tannery, yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that what it is, a slaughterhouse, right?
No,
Well, they
tannery
don't
is
make the
taking the
skins.
Take the
skins,
skins.
making them out of.
The
making
slaughterhouse
them out
would
of-
send them the skins.
Yeah.
So
Also-
if you kill a cow, you literally, you get rid of the bones, the hoofs, the
So-
horns are
Well, I
used for
think that's
something.
what they did, I think that's what they did there, though.
They might have did that processed it, yeah.
They
I mean,
probably
either way,
double.
it's incredibly bad for the environment, making.
I
There's
think
a
it was
lot
the
of
biggest on the East Coast at the time,
chemicals involved.
when it was going. I mean, the place is huge.
A lot of the ponds and all are all man-made to
Yeah.
basically feed that facility, so.
The leather jackets went out of fashion and that was the end of it.
So the other one, limited manufacturing, fabrication, processing, assembly, employing only electric or other substantially noiseless or inoffensive motor power, utilizing hand labor, acquired machinery, processing free from agents, disruptors to the neighborhood. Such agents include burnout to air, water pollution, odor, gas fumes, smoke, basically. Yeah, I'll let you read that for yourself. So defining manufacturing and defining limited manufacturing are two things that would kind of help there.
Yeah, it was always the hard one to try and define them.
Yeah. questions on that?
No, it's the wording, like,
Yeah.
I get the point of the only electric or other sustainable noiseless. You can use a pneumatic battery, which is electric battery bolt driver.
Mhm.
That thing still cranks out noise.
Yeah,
So that would,
but, I mean, anything that cranks out noise still has to
yeah.
meet, you know,
But that's our thing.
general bylaws, right?
Yeah, or general bylaws on noise under, is it 472, kinda, it's not great, cause anything in industrial is exempt from it. Or not industrial, but anything in the commercial side is exempt from it,
Yeah.
from our noise ordinance. That's what catches us in a lot of things is, it's hard to put a noise ordinance on commercial or when deliveries come, because technically the restaurants, the bars, they get deliveries.
Mm-hmm.
Someone complains, I don't like the bar, they're gonna complain about the noise about the bar.
Yeah.
And then if you put a noise ordinance that said everything after 9 o'clock can't make noise, you just wipe down half your business.
Yeah.
That's where it gets tricky on noise.
Right.
But yeah, no, they seem, we'll check on the plant in town, to see what they do, just to make sure the manufacturing side doesn't make them non-conforming or cause any trouble.
So, yeah, I'll have to check on that one. I mean, that kind of, the thing is like, we already kind of permitted with the open-endedness
Yeah.
already, but,
Yeah, but just I want to make sure they don't make cement there, because that specific word would catch them.
yeah.
That's a possibility.
And I can remove cement in asphalt manufacturing if we want to.
Well, don't keep the asphalt if they don't make asphalt, keep
Yeah.
that in there. We'll leave that over in Norwood.
That's true. So this is next phase of accessory uses. This goes back to where some things have been relocated. Small family, large family at-home daycare is allowed everywhere, provided it meets footnote 6. Footnote 6, which I have, I think, in a few locations, is limited site
Limited
plan to
site
be
plan,
required
yeah.
pursuant to section 13.
Yeah.
And this question, I guess, is for a few of these. So home occupation, we'll go, you know, basically it's taking the language that we already had and then putting it in that special use section. The use by a residential builder, carpenter, painter, plumber, or other artisan for incidental work, storage in connection with the off-site premises trade, subject to the conditions also of the home occupation section. So, the reason we included those is just like because we have similar language within, I don't know if we need to flip back, but the existing 5B, 1, 3, I, and J kind of, to me, were confusing. One was, I think, what you're talking about, where it's like, oh, someone has their business on the first floor, and the other one is a home occupation. But the use by a residential builder is only really a situation where you have, I guess, essentially storage of materials. However, by deferring it to the home occupation requirements, there's still the requirements that it has to look essentially like a single family home and it cannot be viewable. So this is the home occupation requirements.
So my only question would be, we've taken two sections and kind of put it into one, and we've made it special permit across the board. That's where there used to be some were allowed as of right.
Where is this?
So in the old, I'm reading it wrong, under I and J, so I was the portion of the building occupied there, work out of whatever the beautician,
Yeah.
radio, it was all special permit. Then you had J, which said it was a doctor, a dentist, clergyman, was allowed as of right.
Mm-hmm.
The new way says they're all special permit.
Yeah. No, I know. That's
So that's making them more restrictive to,
A special permit, would you be better off limited?
well no, it's so special permit right now, the way it is right now, we've two. If you want to be radio man, cabinet maker, photographer, dressmaker, it's special permit. But if I'm a doctor, dentist, clergyman, lawyer, architect, engineer, I'm allowed as of right. If the way we've changed it now to this,
What section
all-
are you looking at?
the old section at page 23 would be
That's one,
Try-
5B1 through J.
3I and 3J, page 23 or so. So if you look at I, I'm just seeing how.
No, you're right.
I says, again, for cabinet maker, beautician, dressmaker, needs to be all special permit. Then under J, if you're a doctor, a dentist, clergyman, an architect, engineer, you could be an accountant, you're allowed as of right, as long as you meet the criteria, the 3 or 4 criteria.
Oh, that's L.
But if we rewrite it this way, then we make all those uses that are allowed as of right all special permits now. So we've made it harder for a doctor or an accountant to have a home business. Which I think the reason really besides doctor,
So I could put it back in, I mean, that's the thing, is I
Well,
can
no, I
make
just
this.
seen-
No, yeah.
something like that, like is, it's like some of those uses are, there's only one person coming or 2 people coming to you at a time. I think the other ones, some make nice, some don't. Like cabinet maker would, skate sharpener would, photographer wouldn't.
Page 21.
Page 22, I think it's, well, my old book.
See, the thing
I
is
have
with
it on
this too,
21.
though, is
I have
like,
page 21.
the thing is with that, it's like, alright, so those 3 requirements, it's somewhat similar to the existing one for home occupation, right? So if I add this language, use or portion of the dwelling of a building accessory there too, as, office of a doctor, I can just do exactly. Would I keep those 3, or can I just have it defer to pursuant to section 5B2C? Where the other ones are a special permit is where it's kind of like, let me go to,
Just to throw a spanner in the works.
no, it's okay, it's home occupation, which we would define as this. So we have existing home occupation that's also defined, I think it's, there's the indented version, which is our existing one, and then the other one, which is pretty much similar.
Yeah, because 5B2C doesn't really go into the professional field, it's more the draftsman. Where someone who's making something, not someone who's doing something.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, Jim, it's,
We cover in
That's a good point.
I, but you're not covering J.
You're covering I, but then you're making J all special permit, is where they used to be all as of right. I just want to just check, see what your opinion do. Because now certain things we've made,
Can we,
Well, it's not really covered in J.
can we exempt, like, quote unquote, professional services? Would that catch all of that?
oh, I see what you're saying.
But then, I mean,
Professional services.
if we're gonna do that, maybe we just add a line that
Yeah.
is consistent.
just because the personal services, first thing I checked was what the state license and state license, like
Yeah.
the license a lot that you could say, that right now, at the moment that we have as a special permit,
Yeah,
would technically be professional service. It's like,
right now, what we have,
so
you
let's see,
mean?
person, yeah, so we're looking at residential. So residential beautician
Yeah,
is a recognized profession, they have to get a license.
yeah,
So that, we have that as a special permit, which if we put down the line professional, that would make that as of right, if it was to come down here.
Mm-hmm,
So that would make it as of right.
okay.
That's where it gets. maybe
And do you think
tentative.
if somebody, if a professional requires a license, that means that the town should have a special permit for that business?
No, so so that's why I'm just asking that was, right now, technically if you have a professional license, which
Yeah,
it says a doctor, dentist,
yeah,
obstetrician, clergyman, or a recognised profession, it's allowed as of right.
okay,
If we change it to this, they're all special permits.
yeah.
Oh, right,
Okay.
yeah.
So we kind of we've taken something that we've been allowing for a while as of right, and now we're making them go through
Well,
special
right now, it
permits.
looks like B and C are both tied back to the old I, and nothing's really according to J.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, I don't know.
No,
It seems
Well, instead
best
of
way to add another
home
line.
occupation, maybe it should say home profession. And then, maybe we have to adjust
Well, what are we
private.
getting with a special permit with home occupation?
So usually home
For what,
occupation-
For what trade or what,
So say the way it was right now, and
Yeah.
the last person that came forward was a gentleman who built a barn up the back of his house. He was a cabinet maker.
okay,
So he has obviously machinery running.
yeah,
He's a
No,
dust
it's
machine,
freestyle.
knives, cutting. So
okay,
that's kind of what you're looking at.
okay,
Some of these have knives, like residential beautician. You're going to have a sewing machine going, and dressmaker. Sorry,
Yeah.
beautician. You
Can
I
have
can't-
chemicals or something.
chemicals.
like that,
wouldn't be that nice. Cabinet maker, yeah. Scape sharpener, yeah. Would be making knives.
yeah. Right.
But then the other ones that are allowed as of right, like again, a doctor, a dentist, even though I can hear the dentist drill from a mile away. That thing. But a lawyer, an architect, it's basically you're meeting with a client one-on-one.
right, yeah, you're
Yeah.
not gonna
You're not
get
making a
noise
and
or
you're not going to have a ton of.
smells or, yeah,
And that's why it limits to
Yeah.
You're allowed to have one assistant. So right now we allow you to have one employee with you, and you're allowed to bring up to 4 people to your house. So that's why I was saying that now we
Yeah,
kind of
that's
made
a-
it
that's
for
a good
them.
point, yeah.
If that makes sense.
Well,
So
actually,
what if
in
we-
J, you're limited to the 4 people, right? But then I don't see any limit of any people. And if, say, a doctor's probably gonna have a nurse there, or a receptionist, maybe a nurse and a receptionist. And then 1 or 2 patients at a time, and so on.
Well, anyone doing more.
I mean, most doctors' offices I go to, they have-
An office.
What's that?
Anyone doing more than 2 people at a time is gonna be working out of their office, not a home.
Alright,
office.
so what about if I'm going to, so right, I'm on the definition section. We have our existing definition for home occupation, which I don't think is bad, but I'm just trying to find a way to, I guess, combine the over explanation as well as, you know, what Jim's talking about. So this section right here I've highlighted under this proposed definition, or as a place for incidental work, storage in connection with an off-premises trade, or resident builder, carpenter, electrician, painter, plumber, or other artisan. If you look at the existing I, you know, 5B, 1.4, or 1.3I rather, that's all special permit. Some of this is really kind of incidental work for a carpenter, electrician, plumber. This seems to be more in line with some of that's gonna be, you know, has a lot of material and
Doing prep work or
supplies.
something.
Yeah, so if I remove this portion of home occupation as the definition, so it's not considered home occupation, but we then, this area, the use of resident builder, carpenter, plumber, other incidental work, leave this as special permit, but then make this allowed by right. So home occupation would be allowed by right, but the incidental work with a, you know, an artisan or a painter, carpenter, whatever, is a special permit. Both have to be done pursuant to this section. Not more than 2 persons other than the residents of the premise shall be regularly employed. This is not
So,
people
yeah,
there.
people coming and going.
Yeah, no stock or trade shall be regularly maintained except for products of the occupation in itself or for goods, I'll let you read it, sorry.
Would you bring back in something about the, like not more than 4 persons gathering?
I would get rid of that.
Well,
You
you're
say
saying
not more than two
two
people apply.
outside the
People-
residence of a thing, like, I know,
So,
like,
yeah, it goes back to, you know,
I went to a dentist who worked out of a house on Common Street, and like, he was the dentist, he probably had like 3 assistants, but
so,
one of the assistants was like his wife, so
So, yeah,
he had probably 3 or 4.
so maybe I'm reading this wrong, but to me this is not more than 2 persons other than the residents
shall be regularly employed.
implied. It doesn't say that I
Oh,
can,
employed, okay.
implied, it doesn't say I can't have 10 people waiting on my property.
But the next one is, so look at 3, no, you shall not produce noise or other effect observable to lot lines in amounts exceeding those normal to residential property. No external changes shall be made to the alter the residential appearance of the building structures of the premise. I mean, it's, I guess how you regulate that, but I think it's probably a question within the special permit, well.
Yeah,
not to
but
us,
still,
maybe by
yeah,
right.
because right now it says you can't get more than 4 people coming to your doctor, your dentist,
Yeah.
or photographer.
Uh,
The newer way doesn't limit
the amount of people that
that
can
can
go there.
turn up. Yeah,
You could have a lot
Sure.
of.
Most of those trades aren't even working at the house though.
well, trades aren't, but say,
Well,
if
it's an
The
ad.
trades aren't.
the trades
Yeah,
aren't, but
trades
say if you have a doctor, say, or an architect, or say if you're an architect, you could bring the GCs, the people that own the property, their builder, you could bring 10 people to a meeting.
Right.
Or a lawyer that has
That's-
like a whole family
Family,
or a bunch
kids.
of people.
So does
and-
that become a, well, is it,
But how
does that become an
important is
enforcement
that?
issue, right?
Is the 4 people, like you want people calling you, I saw 5 people go into.
Yeah,
The-
we will get people that
Yeah.
will, trust me,
And
that's
and
my
that's what you
life.
want.
But
Oh,
these
yeah,
other,
it's my
these
life
other
every
sections.
day.
of
I don't
it.
want it, but,
Okay.
but I will get calls if there was 7 cars parked outside his house and people are taking up parking
Yeah.
spots on the street and going, he's people coming in now all the time.
I think this is where it goes to, so reality is, no, we're not gonna be able to count the people that are inside the building,
No.
but such you shall not produce noise or other effects observe all the lot lines exceeding those of a normal residential property. No external changes, shall be made which shall alter the residential appearance of the buildings or structures on the premise. Granted, that one's more of a structural thing, but the third one, you know, if someone says there's always like a bunch of cars and people coming and going, not to make it an enforcement thing, but that's really like
Yeah.
the same
It's
thing,
a
if someone's counting cars, it's
Subjective thing though.
But yeah, that's the thing, it's
And
very
then Jim
subjective.
can't say much.
I
don't
You're
have
like,
much to-
this is
It's
kinda different.
vague, yeah.
I need some
Other
teeth.
effects, what's another
But
effect?
that's not gonna be like all day, every day, you know.
You're talking about
when they have
basically
that many people
overcrowding.
there.
Yeah, no,
So-
again, that's why, again, it doesn't happen a lot, but like we had one complaint of a kid that was, he started doing his own basketball camp at his house for the summer.
Well, this is also for the purpose of being
And the neighbors were
instructed,
complaining,
the way we have it
yeah.
written right now, so it has nothing to do with a lawyer, you know, getting instructed.
No, but,
Well,
uh,
I guess you could get instructed by a lawyer, but.
No, but,
Um,
yeah, it's being instructed, it's kind of a weird way of wording it, but that was always the way, and that's, just from again, previous towns I've been in, that's the way they've always had it, in most towns it's not more than 4 people at the premise at a time. Cause that would limit the amount of cars, that would limit anybody parking on the street. I just want to make sure we've,
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
again,
that
it's a
would
thing
be-
we're doing, where we're taking it from, some things are allowed, some things aren't. But even the ones that are allowed right now, we have 3 criteria that we can use to, if the neighbours do start complaining.
Well, if you had the number that's 4, and they could go over a lot of times, but if you don't get it, if there's no complaints,
Yeah,
and it's not every day, then it would probably be okay, but if it starts to be every day, then you have something to go
to go
by
back on, yeah.
and
'Cause that-
enforce.
That's
So-
90% of my thing
Right.
is, on with zoning wise, is, honestly, if I took our zoning book right now and went from the Norwood line all the way to Foxborough line, I'm probably hitting 80% of this town with violations,
Oh, yeah,
being honest,
oh, yeah.
easily. But if, and some things we enforce because the neighbours have rang in complaints, unless it stands out. Like honestly, one of the biggest things we changed, I think Patrick, when we changed the parking,
Number of cars.
was it, the amount of cars in your lot. And I'm going out to people going, well, you've got 7 kids with all cars, and I'm going, yeah, but go to the zoning board to get extra. But none of the neighbours ever complained about it. They usually just complain, if any complaints we got on number of cars, was there were tenants and the neighbours hated them, and they were fighting back and forth. But if I was to go around, right now the majority of most families have 4 cars, if not more. And our zoning before
Alright,
said it was 3+ commercial, we increased that, because the good old day of riding a bike or walking somewhere is gone. It's, as soon as you get to high school, like the high school lot, they actually number the spots and they rent them, because there's so many cars, and they park all on Ellis, they park up at the police station.
Yeah.
So just something to, I don't know if it's,
yeah, I don't know, I'm sure there's other towns that have more regulation, I just said,
You need that line in the sand that I keep saying. That.
yeah, because if it's kind of, it's like the noise ordinance, it's what's a nuisance to you. That I can't enforce a noise ordinance with that, like I go to people,
Right.
because there's 6 of us here, 7, sorry Betty, there's 7 of us here. If I asked you what your music preference is, we're all gonna have 7 different answers probably, and I could find your taste a nuisance to me. So how do I enforce that? So something like that gives me a bit more.
Yeah.
But then the other part, again, I don't know how we, again, maybe I'm overthinking it, just, we've
So-
made some up, how do we make the uses that are, we have always been allowing as of right, not be a special permit now?
So how is,
Okay, so Pat added something.
how is
so I already added this, the language you wanted, I think we changed it to be purpose of conducting business. And I go back to the definition. So this
Yeah.
is the language that I would say I'd remove, if we go forward with this one. So this is our existing home occupation language. Again, we define home occupation, but we don't list it in the table of use, which is annoying. And it's kind of what we're talking about, vocation, trade, small business, craft, art, profession, yada, yada, yada. Something about a resident, looks like it, belongs to the residential character. This language is, what we're talking about in terms of like a, do we have beautician there? I don't know. Examples of home occupations include but not limited to, remember? The office of a physician, dentist, real estate agent, studio teacher, music dancer, from adjustment, from a photographer. This language I remove, and this is the whole language of in connection with an off-premises trade.
Mhm.
That is the portion that we can make a special permit.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
this right here, make this,
is,
and keep this, the use of a residential builder, carpenter, painter, plumber, or other sin for incidental work and storage in connection with the off-premises trade, subject to conditions of, same thing, home occupation, but it's a special permit.
So I look at myself, I spend less time at home. I mean, I just park my truck there and I take
Yeah.
my stuff out of the garage that I need and I go. It's
Yeah.
like, nobody's really coming to me or anything, so it's,
Yeah.
Yeah, so something like that, so again, right now, we get people come in all the time that register their business from their home. And if it's a plumber or carpenter, we always put just a footnote on their license going, no exterior products, storage material, or customers coming to the house.
right.
So, because I do the same thing, I store all my tools in the basement and then I haul them out when I'm going doing a job. I'm not actually working from home. I'm
I
not
don't want them at my house.
Exactly. So that's what I think the intent of it more is, that is just your business, you back up your truck, you empty your tools. This is more if you're, say if you're milling stuff, if you're putting all the pipes and welding and soldering at home and then take them to the site. That's what the intent of it is. No, I don't know if it should be one or, if it should be one or two. Like to Sarah's point, do we put in licensed professional as of right? And then everybody else is a special permit. So if you're a licensed professional, which would be a doctor, dentist, hairdresser,
You
they're
can
all.
be a licensed professional if you're a licensed, plumber, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah. But at the end, we keep them.
So you get a carpenter when really doesn't require a license. I mean, he would if he,
You need
well, he does, yeah.
CSL to
Yes,
build,
he
but
is, yeah,
he could be a cabinet maker, doesn't need a license.
right.
That's where I don't know which way to word it.
we go back to if it's a again, incidental use by residential builder, carpenter, painter, plumber, because that's the closest thing
Yeah.
that ties into
Mhm.
what we have for I.
Okay,
Which is the
yeah.
whole skate sharpener, radio repairman,
Yeah.
and milliner. But then it also goes in connection with offsite premises trade, residential builder, carpenter, electrician, painter, all that's,
Yeah.
all that jazz is a special permit.
Yeah.
Whereas what you're talking about in terms of, doctor, dentist,
It's covered
optician,
under the other
is
one.
allowed by right. And
Yeah.
so I just want the terms to be simplified, which is why we add a home occupation.
Yep.
And then
Mhm.
define it, and then this language, which seems to be the big kind of, the crux of the existing 5B1, 3J,
The artisans.
I'm not J, I'm sorry, I.
Creating something, yeah.
which is the ones that require a special permit, that's,
And then one last, this is the funniest because the only time I'll actually ever get to say this to you, the wording.
Which one?
On C,
yeah.
the use by a resident builder, should it be the use of the residence by a builder carpenter?
Use by a resident.
The use by a resident builder, so I could be a residential builder, painter,
No,
carpenter.
no, it means the
No.
person who lives there is
Resident
also
means someone-
a builder, a
Yeah.
carpenter, a painter.
Yeah.
So used by the resident?
Well, I was going to say the use of the residence by a resident.
Oh, the
But technically, it should always be the
The
person
person
that lives
resident
there
lives
should be
there,
using it,
yeah.
so.
So that is the right way.
Okay.
I thought I had you, but
So another question with a lot of these I have highlighted red because the existing language in our zoning has it basically either allowed by right or special permit. I think allowed by right, so I have them all marked off, yeah?
Yeah.
Why would we have a yard sale in like the LM or the industrial?
the only reason I think it's
Or-
there is because we have residential buildings in those.
So that goes back
We have
to,
ATVs.
Oh, yeah.
so that goes into why I added this
Oh, yeah,
footnote.
makes
So
it,
this is why I didn't know if it was like would be exempt.
Old West Street, Washington Street across from House and Vos, they're all residential properties, but they're in LM.
Yeah.
So I think that's why it was allowed, because there is
So-
residential.
Could I make those prohibited, but then add a footnote that just says permissible within a pre-existing non-conforming residential use within a non-residential district?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. So I didn't like, I didn't like the idea of having yard sales and where else was it? Garaging and maintaining the way we have that written in there, it's not really relevant if it's a commercial
Yeah.
property, so, I was getting rid of that. So the other change is in garaging and maintaining of a trailer. We had the terminology in there of, what was
That was all
it, less than 15 or more than 15?
Had to be more than 15 was allowed.
Which we just changed this, I don't know how we I don't know what happened.
Well, no,
here.
the one that was changed was the mounted cars and the RV parking.
The RV parking is what I'm talking about, yeah, that's
Yeah.
the one that's, garaging and maintaining of, I think we had it.
Because that was
Or
that was a public
Yeah.
warrant, so we didn't have any say really on that side. That
Yeah,
was the
we-
general.
but in general, we had the more than 15, which is existing language, and so
Yeah.
I just put less than 30.
Yeah.
And then, this is more of an issue, we had we have no less than 5 feet from the property, there should be no more than 5 feet,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so it's a little bit of a mess up, so that's just catching that there.
The more I think about it, if you go back to that home
Yeah.
occupation, it's almost like the home occupation could be more detrimental, more of a nuisance to a neighborhood than, the accessory use or the incidental work and storage, right? I mean, because,
It could
I
be.
think it's the
depending-
idea you
Really,
don't
yeah.
wanna see it.
huh?
I think it's the idea you
Well, I
don't
know,
wanna see it.
yeah, I mean.
See it or hear it.
But that could be in there anyways, I mean,
True.
that language is there, you could, is there a footnote in there that you would have for that, but
Mhm.
it's,
The footnote I have in there is 7 for.
Well, the tent, yeah, the
I mean,
tent,
my trade would have more, maybe material that could be outside, where
Yeah.
the home occupation wouldn't, but the home occupation is gonna get a lot more traffic and could be more of a full-time nuisance where, like, if
Yeah.
I was going, I'd leave in the morning, I'd come back at night, you know, and
so that's where
that's
the,
it.
the few footnotes that are in existence right now would, you're limited to one employee, you're limited to not more than 4 people coming, you can have no outside appearance of it. The most you can have is a 1 foot square plaque. You can't have like dentist office across a nice big
Right.
window. You have to make it look that if you drive by on a normal day, you can't tell. Like unless you know the dentist or the accountant you're going to, you'll fly by his house and not realise he's in there, because unless you're, that's the whole intent of what this is that it doesn't become like, unless you know him or you have a client, he's not going to find you driving down the street going, oh, Ed's doing accountancy, I'll go in there, see if he's doing my taxes. There's nothing to draw your attention to it.
I think the issue with why the whole residential builder thing would be a special permit, and again, it goes back to what we have too, is the incidental work in storage. So not just storage, but the incidental work, which would be much more of a, you're gonna hear what's going on, as opposed to a lawyer's meeting, I'm not gonna really, it's gonna be a house with a couple cars pulled up and maybe they're discussing law, I don't know.
Yeah, because again, to the point.
I think that's why that's a buy rate.
Yeah,
I guess.
I think that point with knives and stuff, as Patty was saying, was if you're a carpenter, you can be pre-cutting. I've done it myself.
Yeah.
Luckily, my neighbours like me. Some of them do. I've done prefabricated benches for restaurants. I've prefabricated stuff going for bookcases. I've made them at home over the weekend for the Monday, knowing I can put them back in my truck instead of having. You alright, lad?
Oh yeah, it's fun.
But I can pre-make cabinetry at home. For if I'm doing a bookshelf or a TV unit for you, I can pre-make it at home, and then just bring over a limited amount of tools. You could get some stuff ready at your house and then take it. We do have one company on Route 1 that does that. That does condos, plumbing for condos.
Yeah.
They pre-make everything on
They
site,
prefab, yeah.
and then just straight shot. So I think that's what it is with. Same thing with painters. Painters could prime the wood on site at home. To give it to it, take it to the job to save them time and not spraying.
So would incidental work be, I mean, could you classify, alright, so say I am a, carpenter and I have, apprentices or people that work for me.
Yeah.
But they gotta meet in my house and drive from there.
See, that one, because they're just coming to your house to park up and leave,
Yeah.
or you're loading the truck up and you're leaving. But if they were there at the weekend, like
Yeah.
again, building something, fabricating something at your house, getting ready for the week.
Well,
that would be-
hypothetically, they're, loading the car, doing all that stuff. I guess what I'm saying is if I live next to somebody and all of a sudden they got, 2 cars pulled up and they're like getting ready for the day at that neighborhood and then leaving, they're not conducting the business there, but technically, is that classified as
Usually
incidental
they
work?
meet you at the job anyway.
Yeah.
So you go to.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that you could classify as incidental.
Yeah.
If it came to that, because if a neighbour was ringing saying, hey, they're every morning you banging tools or moving stuff,
Yeah.
they're swapping stuff out, yeah, you could say, yeah, it's incidental. Like I know, I have friends who do, they'll pull their van up and they'll swap tools back and forth and then they're gone again.
Mm-hmm.
But it's usually pretty quick and easy. I think this is more for if you could label as incidental.
Yep.
I can make it fit that way if we need to.
No, alright, that's going back to that definition. Alright, we got a few more sections. Alright, just looking at the time, not to be that guy, but I think a hard stop at 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
That was a quick yes.
I will.
You're losing me here.
I don't know, 'cause I don't have to watch The Voice tonight, so it's,
Oh, jeez. So accessory uses, all other districts, this is the whole storage, restroom, facility thing. I think the changes I highlighted here is what we discussed our last time, allowing it by right within the PCRC, HB, LM, industrial. We discussed it, I'm fine to change that back. Right now, everything there is a special permit. One thing I had was roof mounted solar, which we don't have defined already, and I know we talked about that, Jim, if it's not necessarily needed,
Yeah.
but, so what do you think, take it out? Or
I would leave it there.
Leave it?
Yeah, I don't see a problem.
Accessory uses commercial, outdoor dining areas accessory to a restaurant. It has footnote 6 deferring to limited site plan review. This is just basically moving what was in that commercial section, adding it here.
on the limited, do you go over the capacity and stuff? I mean,
Oh,
we
yeah.
talked about this before. But
Yeah, no, during COVID they got away, like they gave an exemption for capacity, but anything moving forward, that's why I kinda
Yeah.
say, just to give an example, Ravens and Tessie's nest, the Ravens Nest and Tessie's, okay, right? They had a lot of outdoor seating during COVID, they were exempt, but then when he built Tessie's, if he didn't have built the station on Tessie's, he would have been reduced by about 40 seats outside. But part of him building Tessie's was he put one extra stall in each to be allowed the outdoor seating.
Right.
So yeah, that does get looked
Well,
at.
the thing is, during COVID, they were serving outside and nothing was really inside.
Yeah,
So they weren't increasing the capacity, but then COVID was over, they're seating inside and outside, and their capacity is
still, yeah.
multiplied.
So that was carried to probably a year, maybe 2 years after COVID. The state exception was carried through to allow that, and now that's gone. So because we had a few restaurants that had overseating, so like Cosmos had a few extra seating in the back of Cosmos. Now that the COVID exemptions are gone, they've been reduced because they're not allowed the count as part of the limited site plan. That's one of the first things we ask is, do you even have the bathrooms to cover it?
Right.
So, sorry. Drive-through services, so what we had existing already was, drive-in or stand for the dispensing of food, beverages, or goods from inside a building to persons standing or seated outside a building. Actually, no, this is seated outside. So I broke this up into drive-through services and then retail takeout counter. Retail takeout counter, just like, go get ice cream or whatever. Allow that by right, because I think right now that's been kind of falling under the whole drive-in, drive-up, take-up, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Drive-through services, I just defined that. We had an existing definition. Just want to really touch on that quickly. Drive-through, so we had drive-in establishment. A business establishment
From the
where-
1950s.
Exactly, that's what it sounded like. So I just took drive-through services, feature a characteristic of a use involving sales of products or provision services to occupants in vehicles, including drive-in or drive-up through window, and drive-through services such as an automated teller machine, ATM. And then, I don't know if I had the window. I don't think I added the window, but you can kind of get what I'm talking about when I say a
Yeah.
walk-up window.
My other question is on the drive-through service.
Yeah.
See, if you were doing, in centre town, you were doing a bank, it's allowed as of right.
Yeah.
99% banks come with a drive-through.
Mm-hmm.
That's an incidental use or accessory use, which an accessory use is allowed as of right.
Don't we, so if someone comes with a bank now and they want to drive through, we just let that happen, but we make a restaurant get a special permit?
That's where that's the mix, well, no, that's not what happens,
Oh,
but that's
yeah,
where
yeah, exactly.
it could go either way.
Yeah.
Because it's like, so again, I'll go back to like big cars.
Yeah.
They have car sales, which are allowed to do. Now they're going to be building a maintenance shop, which is allowed because it's incidental to the primary. So if you were coming to me and you were like, hey, well, I'm doing a bank, every bank has a drive-through that's incidental to the primary, it should be allowed as a right. This kind of contradicts that.
Yeah, but you don't need a drive-through.
But why should it be
As a
allowed
bank.
without some review?
Because our zoning does say if you're incidental to the primary.
I know, but you have like cars queuing, you have like, there are considerations that
Yeah.
should be taken, so.
No, it's not that, like, do you want a special permit across the board, or does certain uses, because 9 times out of 10, one if you're doing a bank, you're probably going to be getting site plan, which will involve traffic study or traffic,
So I would say you could allow it as an accessory use, allowed by right in like highway business and maybe elsewhere. But maybe at least highway business.
No, so that's what I'm trying-
But you could also better define it as
Yeah.
like, you need to meet this criteria, this criteria, this criteria,
Yeah.
which I know Norwood did, which,
Yeah.
but they still made it by a special permit everywhere.
Okay.
But either way, I mean, I agree, like, it's an accessory use, especially if you're putting in a Dunkin' Donuts, it's
Yeah.
gonna have.
So that's
a
the kind of
drive-through,
thing, is
why
there's
not
certain
use
things
this
that
permit?
are going to get a drive-through as of right. So bank, 9 times out of 10, a bank's going to have a drive-through. Dunkin' Donuts is.
But why should Walpole give that allowance by right without a review? Like, how is that good for us?
because it affects the traffic flow around it.
Yeah. So that's what Sarah's
Yeah,
saying.
I'm saying,
She's fine,
like-
it should be a special permit.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't like special permits, I don't think we should throw them
Yeah.
around everywhere,
Oh,
but
no, I'm
like,
just asking your
drive-through
opinion.
and like where you have the
Mhm.
capacity for cars queuing up and blocking
Well, that's the
traffic,
biggest thing,
or.
queuing, so
Well,
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Creates
that's,
all the
that's
problems.
why,
That's right.
I
Yeah.
think, I mean, even a bank or Dunkin' Donuts or whatever. like-
CVS.
Yeah,
That's the parking lot issue.
yeah,
But I would say like that's something where you could, you'd have criteria like, you know, you need a bailout.
Yeah,
lane,
okay,
you need to have a
or-
queue of no more than
okay.
7 cars. and
yeah,
all that stuff.
if
Yeah,
we
they should
have
queue them to the
the
Yeah.
criteria defined, then I'm fine with it.
That's a lot of criteria, I'd say just leave it a special permit then. If it's going like
It
that.
could keep going, that's,
Yeah,
it
it could
really.
snowball, so, yeah, no, I was just asking opinion again, I do like that you changed it in, industrial as well, cause that was kinda.
Yeah, industrial was not by right.
Yeah.
I mean, like, here's one where like, you can always come back to it. And I can say make it by right in the highway business district and just let it ride, but I also.
But what if they have a small lot and
Yeah.
then they're backed up on one and then
I
they
think-
were like, well, we got it by right, well, I
I think the
don't know.
best way to do
We
it.
thought it would be
to-
okay.
would be to define the criteria, to like, make it prescriptive of
Yeah.
what you need to have. But that would definitely require some additional thought to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, right, I'd leave it a special permit then, so let's say.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I think that's a better way to be
Yeah.
prescriptive exactly, but yeah, I don't know that we can do that today, so.
and then other than that, we got, open display of goods, let's see, alright. Live entertainment, moved it, good. Open display of goods for sale on premises, accessory to a permanent main use, open display of goods that are for sale on the premises. I have at footnote 9, which is because I tried to take a use and put it in the footnotes. So this is, where the heck was this?
That was in the wholesale as well, wasn't it?
This was AA under 5B1(4), accessory use instead of permanent use. I'm sorry, no, this is open display of goods for sale on the premises, accessory to permanent main use conducted in a completely enclosed building. I basically just transferred it to here, which is right now, it's the same. Actually, you know what, I'm gonna take that back. I think I added by right within CBD and, alright, how do I do this? Sorry.
You took it from BB. so
I
it's-
took it from BB, I added, it made it by right within business and essentially business district, but I provided it as a footnote because currently, the way we have BB set up, there's 3 categories. There's where the total ground area devoted to open such display does not exceed 10%, which is by right in CBD and B. And then we have where the ground area devoted to such open display does not exceed more than 25%. So if you have under 10% within CBD and B, it's allowed by right. If you have over 10 but under 25, it's a special permit. Footnote 9 says where the total ground area devoted to such open display it exceeds 10% of the ground area covered by the building, but less than 25% of the ground area covered by the building, a special permit through the zoning board of appeals is required. Total ground area devoted to such open display may not exceed 25% of the ground area covered by the building.
Yeah, so-
So that's basically taking that language, not having it be 3 different categories and saying it's allowed by right, provided it's under, under 10%. And I believe for that, and we got heliport, that is down there as well.
Oh, boy.
Oh
Oh, good.
boy. The one thing that we didn't add, and I think I'm going to, is accessory use in commercial, industrial for, solar canopy, and then defining that. And that's based on conversations with council that we had recently, I don't know, Jim, if
Which, sorry.
having solar canopy
Oh, yeah.
as an
Like across
accessory
from
use.
Johnson.
Well, across John, that was allowed under the Dover and the educational, so we're saying, cause like we've got a few people in, right now, a solar canopy is seen as ground mounted solar, which we still see is not allowed. If someone push back, it's gonna be allowed through the state, so a lot of towns don't allow it. We were saying, because again, we've also been, every town's been fighting the solar in the state, have been just rubber stamping everything.
Mm-hmm.
And they've always been defining, well, you don't have percentage coverage in your town.
Yeah.
So we were saying, okay, let's allow canopies, because we've had requests from Rodman's Arena to put parking canopies with solar on top. Some of the hotels have been asking for it. We're like, yeah, it's a good place. We light up the whole way of highway business with solar canopies. It'll give us a huge percentage in town. I said now we're gone from 10% up to probably 30-40% of our overall areas allowed. That'd be a better, stronger case for us to say, hey, we allow a lot more, that we can fight back more against.
Yeah, and this
And
is,
you're not taking down more trees to make
Yeah.
it solar.
so I would need to go get a definition for solar canopy, basically included it as all the business districts and then PCRC. So as an accessory use, it's really, you know,
Did you just add that now, or this is?
I just did this right now. 'cause
Okay,
it just
all right,
came at the
okay.
top of my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you have a definition for temporary storage container?
I think I didn't add this, that came from town council. And let me see if I actually, no, I'm sorry, I think I took the definition because you provided it. I mean, that was one I didn't add directly, but it came from council. Where are we? Of course we don't have it.
Should add it.
Like
I will add it. I thought I had it. I'm pretty sure she wrote it in one of her comments.
I'm curious as to why we have X's in residential. But or maybe I'm thinking of something else. I'm thinking of
Oh, yeah.
pods.
Temporary storage
or
container.
something.
No, you're
Pods
right.
and that, yeah, they're,
Um,
everyone does things, it's incidental, like, so I think temporary storage containers, not definition, but it's probably usually like a 40-foot shipping container that's plopped on the property. That's gone tricky now, because that actually got brought into the building code for uses, because some people are actually plopping them and using them as permanent structures. So that's a weird one, because if you're doing a temporary storage container, if you turn around and goes, well, no, I'm gonna use it as a full-time storage and leave it there, then I think it needs a structure, they just need a building permit for
Some
it.
people want to
Placement
do
of it.
houses, right?
Yeah,
But John, this is under, commercial and industrial.
Oh, you're right. I didn't.
So,
You're right.
Yeah, I don't know if we need to add
probably
something
don't at
under
that point. If
residential,
it's-
but,
if
I
it's-
probably
not really
should
code.
though,
Yeah.
because
there's gonna be a structure there.
We probably want a definition anyways, but yeah,
Yeah.
you're right, that's why it's X's there, because it's not. Okay. Do we have something equivalent in the residential?
So again,
Well, what's that?
residential, we don't really have anything for storage containers, 'cause, again, if you're moving a house, or if you're building a house or doing renovations, some people put everything in a container while it's there. Not really,
so, I mean,
I did have something,
It's sort of a shed,
8.6,
similar structure.
which,
Well, a shed is more permanent.
yeah, so that's why you can make a container permanent, you just have to beat the zoning setbacks.
alright, so 8.6 is where it's defined. Cause it says for parking C 8.6, and that is any storage container defined herein as a non-mobile standalone structure unit designed for commercial industrial storage accessory in support of the principal commercial industrial activity on site shall require a special permit for the planning board unless located on a permitted outside storage area. Applications for the special permit should now fall under site plan review. At a minimum, the planning board shall require the storage containers to be located in areas currently provided off-street parking, and that one-for-one appropriately located replacement of off-street parking spaces are provided. Further, that for every 50 gross square feet of lot area used by the storage container, one additional off-street parking space shall be provided under the special permit. So, that's a lot of mouthful, but basically, the reason that's in there is because it's deferring to section 8.6, where that's how they're defining temporary, or how we have been defining temporary storage container. But to your point,
Okay.
the residential side, that could be also added, when basically having, what we could do is, I could add a temporary storage container residential, but then define it and then have to basically say shall not include temporary storage containers as defined under section 8.6. So a residential storage container, if we want to, or just. let
Yeah,
it
I'm trying
go.
to figure out, like, no one's gonna come for a special, if I'm doing over house or I'm moving, I'm getting a pod put at my house,
Mhm.
I'm not coming for a special permit. Do you not?
No,
From a
absolutely
residential,
not.
yeah.
I mean, you'd make it by right.
Yeah, but
I
yeah.
think a lot of it was, we had an issue with Walmart.
That's,
At Christmas time, they brought in about 20
Yeah. It's the-
storage trailers,
Yeah.
and they took up parking places and all, you know? And I think they do it every year now, do they? I'm not sure, but.
They've done it every year and we find them every year, and we've made them move them, with the fire department's help. They're going for an addition at the moment, and one of the criteria we met them, because they did get actually a special permit back in '96 to allow them to have 14 containers on site. The problem is, if you ever deal with Walmart, they're just a headache, because what happens is the delivery drivers come and just drop them and drive off. And if they just leave them there, the store moves them around if they want to, but they just abandon. No, like, there's so many entities with Walmart, like we've 4 projects going there at the moment, 4 of them don't even talk to each other. Like we have one that they went for a special permit before the zoning board for signs, and on the night I just asked going, by the way, Subway is going in here, do you want to add an extra sign and keep that to the special permit for the next meeting? And the guy from Walmart goes, that's their problem. That was his answer, even though they're going into Walmart. And he works for Walmart and was going for signs for Walmart. He goes, that's their problem. So that's where it gets funky. But they actually allowed 14 trailers, but we are making them put them on their site plan that's going to be going for the addition to the building, that they have to designate where they are going, and we will be enforcing that. We'll just keep finding them to that. Because they blocked the whole backyard one year that we couldn't even get into.
So,
Do we need to define what is temporary in terms
So
of
temporary is
time,
180
or-
days.
Oh,
That's what that is
defined
defined,
in
yeah.
state, okay.
it's what?
Anything that's less than up to 180 days.
Okay.
alright. So, because it's 9:57.
I just have one thing just
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
ruin your night.
No?
You seemed happy with your heliport.
My heliport.
Your heliport, my only problem
Fine,
is,
getting rid of it.
well, no, if you go back to public, semi-public institutional,
Yeah.
we have heliport for emergency hospital and police use, but not for commercial use. But then you put heliport in and it says special use for commercial.
So we have it in 2 places though.
Yeah.
That's why, because under our existing zoning we do.
Yeah, so under existing zoning, it's still gonna be there in the new zoning.
So do we need to list it under accessories use all districts?
Well, no, so we have to figure, because right now, we have heliport under public, semi-public and institutional,
Yeah.
as for emergency hospital and police use, but not for commercial use.
Oh,
But
so we
then
define that.
We actually define it and say what it is, so no commercial use. But then if we put heliport in the accessory uses, it's a special amendment in business and commercial, then it can only be used by police or,
So we have, this is where we have them
Places.
listed right now, we have a
Yeah.
heliport and then heliport for emergency hospital.
which is
Oh.
weird, but not for commercial use.
Yeah.
So you're moving it from here to the accessory?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we do it fine heliport? I don't know, we should, but probably should. It's also weirdly written, so like, I mean, I get it, heliport for emergency hospital, but not for,
Yeah.
it's a special permit, but then if you just wanna have a heliport,
It's a special
it's
permit.
a special permit, but we don't define what is the heliport.
Yeah, That's the thing I'm lost
I
on.
also would just get rid of heliport and just
Yeah.
let it.
Why do you want?
Why do you?
Just leave for fire and police.
Yeah, just leave it on the one and get rid of the other one.
I'm fine with that, yeah. You mean talking about getting rid of it from the accessory
Yes.
commercial? Yeah, I like that. I don't know why I'm
If we have
happy to get
covered-
rid of it, I like the idea of it, I don't know how often people are applying for a heliport in town.
Well,
Well, I
Ernie
was
Bond
going
was
to
for a while, but,
He's not in town,
right?
right? Oh, he wanted a
but the
heliport.
kibbutz on that.
He couldn't drive to the airport?
No.
No, okay, the heliport, that's okay.
So, question, on the outdoor dining, it says accessory use, so is that the only way we would be able to have outdoor dining? It has to be an accessory use? Because I look at Commonwealth Barbecue, say up in Rentham there, and they have seating outside there, they have the picnic benches outside and nothing inside.
No, but the
So,
primary
but
use
is-
of the building is barbecuing.
Okay,
So-
so the seating outside is accessory to that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, say you had an ice cream shop or something like that, the seating outside would be the
Would
accessory?
be tied accessory to the principal, because the principal is not seating.
Yeah, it's the dining area.
The dining area, I suppose. So similar to, who does it? Kind of CJ Scott's up there,
Could it?
CJ Scott's.
Okay,
Like he makes sandwiches and stuff,
Yeah.
but he has the benches outside. He
right.
had some inside, he got rid of them, but he brought them back. But something like that where you go to a sub shop, they don't have the building footprint to put seating in there, but they do have it for outside. That outside thing would be accessory to the principal, which is, because you're not going there to sit, you're going there to get a sandwich, you're going there to barbecue.
Right.
That's your principal use. So yeah, so
I
it's,
think most do have some inside seating, but it's not the primary.
no, it won't be the primary, it's like some rest, like, what's it in Norwood, Titanic? That thing bombs out food, and it's good food too, but they literally have no seating, it's strictly takeout.
Which one, Titanic?
Titanic and,
Oh,
Yeah,
the
right
old
up there,
buildings.
yeah, that's good food.
I mean, there is some
It's
seating
like, yeah, it's
there,
like,
but
it's
you're
like,
like,
it's like
Yeah.
7 seats.
But if they had, say, a garden area that they could put seats out
yeah,
for people to eat outside, then you
Good
could.
food in Norwood, Titanium?
Titanic, it's a Thai restaurant, it's really good.
Oh, right.
It's
actually is very
like-
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You like spicy.
Yeah.
It's good.
No, it is a good spot.
Um,
So, right now, obviously, we've gone through this, we have some of the definitions, I think we've kind of addressed that, and I can take comments, kind of move from there. I'll send out a revised copy with stuff that's, maybe better broken down in terms of, all right, here is every change, kind of get rid of the highlights, get a little bit of a cleaned up version. I'm planning on meeting with the select board on 6. The time is kind of tight. We can kind of try to roll with it and see what happens, but I just do want to kind of put that up there, that this is, I guess we'll just kind of see what happens. But if we have, when I send stuff out, if anyone has individual comments and wants to send them back, that's good. We didn't get into the other document tonight, which is kind of somewhat problematic, which is the other sections. A lot of this did come from Carolyn's review letter, so nothing that's terribly new. The only thing that has some changes really is the whole excavation or filling of earth.
Yeah.
Which essentially, there was 2 issues, right? How do we, what's the triggering threshold for needing relief? What is a way of monitoring to make sure they do it correctly? And, is there a stopgap and obviously protection for neighbors? So the thing I added really was, or I put as kind of an option was, and it was hard to find a town that had similar, everyone seems to be kind of all over the place. I'm, again, pretty sure I got this from Westford or whatever, but they had essentially export, import, or regrading of less than 200 cubic yards for earth material in the aggregate in any year for any premise in a residential district, so long as such export, import, or regrading results in finished slopes of less than 15% and finished elevations of less than 5 feet above surrounding and undisturbed grade elevations. And then they had similar language with 250 cubic yards for non-residential districts. So 200 cubic yards for residential, 250 for non-residential, but the similar language of finished slopes of less than 15% and finished elevations of less than 5 feet above surrounding and undisturbed grade elevations. So we want to try to find a way to kind of tie into not just the cubic yards removed, but also what is the impact to the grade of slope and I guess the size of the area that you're doing this.
And then we also need to look at the one line that gets us every
The one
time,
line-
that takes away is the incidental.
So the incidental line is, I added as part of, and this is, again, this is not really clear on this version I gave you, because if I go with that language, it's C and D, right? So basically C and D would replace A and, so it would be 5D3. Under 5D3, replace A and B with C and D. And then A and B, so under 4, A and B, the language would also match, anything that exceeds the requirements of, 5D3, A and B. But C is the provision that as activities associated with any development regardless of incidental use or permitted approval procedure, which involves the excavation or filling of more than 100,000 cubic yards of earth for the entirety of the development's construction. Again, kind of a number, but also, and talked about it with Carl a little bit, both that and the other one of trying to find something.
I
That's-
like that
that's-
there's some kind of stopgap, but that incidental would also include, let's say, for example, subdivisions.
Well,
Because
that's why.
subdivisions are controlled under subdivision.
So subdivision
True, but-
control law is, but not, so again, if you want to really go back to what subdivision control law,
Yeah,
and it depends what night of the week you go, not be mean, night of
Yeah.
the week you go in front of the board,
yeah,
technically subdivision is the road.
right,
Mhm.
And we've been playing games on both sides, which is
Yeah.
why we're in court and we're losing and costing the town a fortune.
okay,
Because the way our zoning's written, it says if your project is, if the earth removal is secondary to the primary,
okay.
you're allowed to do it as of right.
Right,
That's said. If we said something that Patrick says, that if you remove earth, even if it's secondary to the principal use,
Yeah, so-
but once you hit 100,000 cubic yards,
I just want to clarify that would include a subdivision.
Yes, so
Yes.
the language
Oh,
is
includes it
activities
and
associated
all
with
that,
any
yeah.
development
Okay.
regardless of
Yeah.
incidental
And the
use
lots
or
on the
permitting
subdivision,
approval
not the roads.
procedure.
It would include the clearing that was needed.
of the land, it's the
Yes.
clearing of the land.
And it would count
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, and then we don't play the games that way.
How
We
much
say
is
what it
What
100,000
section is
cubic?
that
Yeah,
under?
that's
Patrick?
crap load.
Yeah,
It is,
that-
but-
Is that
What part
too
is
much,
that under?
or,
I don't-
So state consider quarrying or the beginning of quarrying at
5D,
600,000
I think,
cubic
John?
yards.
I don't see it in front of me. but
So-
it's-
Say 100 cubic yards is roughly about 8 truckloads.
oh, that's it?
100 cubic yards?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is about 8 truckloads. Is roughly what 100
Oh,
cubic
okay.
yards is.
Just seems,
Yeah.
So 100,000
Understand.
cubic yards, I can try to find a way to quantify that, but that was just finding something that was not,
It's
and
hard.
600,000 is
Huge.
huge. 100,000 is probably fitting in with something like a Lincoln or something fitting in with
Yeah.
like a Redmar. That's
Yeah, that-
probably closer to actually what is being.
I can work out, because
looked
we
at.
actually work, I'll find my notes, because we actually done for fun,
Yeah.
said that we actually.
Oh, yeah, how many
Yeah.
cubic yards?
We actually
Yeah,
have a
yeah, yeah.
geologist in our camp, so that's good.
Mm.
Bob's a qualified geologist, and he roughly took Renmar and
Mm.
calculated how much cubic yards was taken up, that was
Yeah,
quarried out of that place.
Yeah.
It was just I think we worked out at the time like $10 million was made off it, which is a nice.
so
chunk of
it was only close to
So-
100,000 or it was?
No, I
more?
don't know the number, it's way more. Oh,
Okay, yeah,
If
yeah.
you've been up there, trust me, that was quarrying at the highest
Yeah,
level, they
yeah.
moved a
So-
mountain.
Yeah,
It's, you can be too loose or you can be too restrict, and I don't have a major problem with the way we do this right now from, obviously it's like you do have a major development like Lincoln or Renmar that come around, and you're like, but that is something that should be caught, that should be something
Yeah.
that looks into, but it's
Yeah,
also
definitely.
a rarity. Whereas if you were doing a special permit for every little thing, your head would be
Yeah.
spinning.
Right, yeah.
So you do wanna have a
We
fine
just wanna
balance
catch the
between-
big stuff.
So that's the thing is,
That's what I think.
we need to, and we'll talk to Carol too, because you want to do it in twofold too. 100,000 cubic yards, bless you. If we can get a rough idea of what size that is, so we can come back to you going, that covers Lincoln Estates, that covers Renmar, that covers Burns Ave, a development that size
Mhm.
would need a special permit. We don't want to go down to where someone's doing 6 houses
Yeah,
and we're
some guys
torturing
doing
them.
3 houses,
Yeah,
4
that's-
houses, we don't want that.
But then at the same time, you also don't want to crucify someone who is doing 100,000 cubic yards over 40 acres, so all they're moving is 2 inches of ground.
Right.
Yeah.
But the guy next door that's staying at 90,000 on a small lot just moved 20 feet deep.
Yeah,
Like, well, he
that's-
doesn't trigger
That's why
I
the
think it's got to be
100,000 should be
plus
over.
a certain acreage
Yeah,
to see what, so to get the two of them, to get to talk to Carl properly.
Yeah, you gotta figure out what that looks like.
And because we can ask him what would an average subdivision, or use some of the GR districts that we've used and we've seen development going on, that we can come back and go, yeah, it's roughly about 20 houses. That's something probably we should see a removal on. If we're dropping the land 5 feet, yeah, that's a significant change.
mhm.
But if it's over 50 acres and you're dropping a foot and you're doing 200,000,
Yeah,
is it worth going to a special permit for something that's so insignificant over a huge area?
You have to also look at like a lot of the big earth removal projects that are incidental rather than, primary, even if they are a substantial amount, are still probably happening during site plan. You're reviewing that during site plan review anyway. Engineering
you
standpoint,
review
you're
it, but
looking
you
at the
can't
changes or
really
anything.
ask them to do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you wanna know obviously
Well, you can
where
ask
the
them.
grading is going, yeah.
Yeah, and then, and then they could say, oh, yeah, I want 40 trucks a day.
Yeah.
And then the neighbor's like, we don't like that. Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah. And that's the killer of it, is I don't agree with it.
So, yeah, it's talked about, but we
Yeah.
can't do anything.
Yeah,
So
that's
then-
the thing, is that, and that's where we get ourselves in trouble is, you mightn't agree with it, you mightn't like it, but it's our law,
Yeah,
and you're
right,
allowed to do it.
right.
So the other one that is added is information about having a surety in place.
Mm.
So this is, every town has this in terms of as a way to uphold someone from doing it, and it makes total sense, basically.
Yes.
I put language in there, for approval of any plan in order to ensure the fulfillment of the following requirements, the zoning board of appeals will require a proper bond or a deposit of monies, negotiable securities on a scale of not less than 100,000 per acre, 10,000 per acre, for which restoration should be required, the exact amount to be set by the zoning board of appeals in coordination with town staff. That's just not less than 10,000 per acre, and then said bond security shall be held in the town of Walpole until all according to the specifications of the bond complied with. Zoning board of appeals shall by the agent to enforce compliance of these rules and regulations upon satisfactory completion of the release of security. No applicant will be allowed to work more than one 5-acre grid at any one time. That language it took from Medfield. And I don't know if that 5-acre one time is gonna complicate things or not, we can get rid of it.
It would, so.
Actually, good. It makes them take one piece at a time rather
Yeah.
than taking everything down and
Yeah, that would, because that
then
would
one
be,
for the country.
so, yeah, because if you took somewhere like Renmar, which is probably 30 acres.
Yeah.
Like their whole intent was, they quarry
doing
the
5
Jesus
acre
out of
tracts,
everything,
Crazy.
and then to put a road in, because
Yeah.
if you're really doing your road in patches, it would put a huge cost on everything.
Is Renmar separate from the quarry?
Yeah, it's part of the quarry, and that's where,
So I'll remove that part, I mean, there's
I'll tell you this is
more
off camera,
basic
so we don't
language
have-
about
I'll
surety
talk
as
to you
well.
afterwards, because I don't want it on camera. I hope it shatters out in the foot.
Yeah. I'll remove that word, that line, and I had the whole 10,000, but honestly, I could find, there's more basic language of basically, it's a surety for restoration.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So the number can be indeterminate, where basically it's a surety for restoration
Yeah.
determined by town staff, which is basically
Yeah.
asking the engineer what would work to.
and maybe put in at the end of it, like where it says per approved,
Mm-hmm.
or sign off, then if we put approved per town engineer,
Yeah,
there's no point me getting me approved, I don't.
I think I had that somewhere too.
I can dig a hole, I don't know anything else about it. I'd like to defer to something like Carl or town engineer,
Yep.
they'll have a lot more say on if it meets the criteria to release it.
All right.
Motion to adjourn?
Yep.
Okay.